Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
OK, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. And do you know something? I just thought we'd get straight into this because this is all about the Grok feature where you can make pornographic pictures or skimpily clothed pictures of any female or child that you want. And, I mean, presumably, in my case, and Asher's case, no doubt that number is 0. But there are people who are understandably extremely upset, young women who now have photographs of them circulating, which didn't actually happen, but nonetheless are either highly sexualised, partly nude, or whatever. I've not tried the feature myself.
It's in bikinis and lingerie sort of thing,
Yeah.
isn't it? Yeah.
Now, there's two sides to this. On the one hand, I am very, very against this tool. I don't think it's helpful. On the other hand, I don't believe that the government should be banning Twitter in the UK. I think that Elon Musk is right to say that that is probably just because Keir Starmer doesn't like the political stance of Twitter, which is that anybody can talk in whatever way they want.
He's just trying to get the Twitter banned. I mean, they don't get TikTok banned when they encourage people to come to the country. That's what they should be banning. It's for national security, really.
No, absolutely not. Well, look, Anna McGovern is a great friend of the show and now arrives in her new capacity as a journalist at The Sun. So before we talk about the fact that you're doing a lot of work on this subject, tell us about your arrival at The Sun. What are you doing and how long have you been there?
Oh, thank you. Well, I've been part of the team since September, but I've only started working full-time the last few weeks.
Great.
So I'm on the UK news desk. So anything and everything that's UK news is what I do.
Brilliant.
Excellent,
OK, well,
mate.
congratulations.
Yeah,
I mean,
congratulations.
we always thought you were I'm not joking. We've always really rated you and thought you were fantastic, and it's great that our colleagues at The Sun have taken you on. I think they will benefit as much as you do. So, OK, tell us a little bit about these sexualised images. Now you have to, I mean, this is unbelievable. Now you can't do it on the unpaid version. You have to pay to be able to do it. I guess my first question is, honestly, what are we talking here? Are we talking bikini pictures? You know, how provocative are these pictures?
So I think this all started towards the new year when I just saw so many of them. And in my case, I was one of these people that were affected.
Oh, really?
So on one of my days off work, I went to a lovely place called Battle Abbey. And I took
where the Battle of Hastings was...
Yeah, that's it. That's where it is.
Isn't it a coincidence how it's called Battle? And the battle happened there.
Yeah. And anyway, I took a picture there and then I posted it on Twitter, and then several responses were these anonymous accounts going, put in a bikini, put in a bikini. Then there were some ridiculous ones where they were like, make her bold, or AI generated videos, which I didn't particularly care about that. Yeah. But what I noticed was just all of these users who kept trying to put me in a bikini. And when I then started looking into Twitter and seeing other posts, I saw that there were other women who were similarly impacted as well. And then when they actually raised awareness of saying, you know, the anonymous accounts are producing bikini photos of me, it almost rage baited them to keep going, and if anything...
Allow me... So, look, we believe on this channel, as you well know, Anna, that there are differences in psychology and indeed biology between men and women. So, we are two middle-aged blokes here. If they put us in AI-generated Speedos, it'd be more funny. Explain to me, just so the men in the audience understand, what it feels like for a young woman to be put in that position.
Well, it's extremely uncomfortable, and what I've been doing as well is I've been speaking to other women who've been impacted by this as I've been researching into this further. And one of the women I spoke to said it's very different, because when they say to a man, "Oh, put him in a bikini," there is more of a comedic effect.
Yes.
But when you're saying that to a woman, you are sexualizing her, and this is where the problem is happening, because it's happening so much now.
I think it was in the trial of Rolf Harris, which admittedly was about a child, and there was a debate about him commenting on the clothing of a 13-year-old girl. And as the prosecution barrister points out, when you say to a girl, nice bikini, you don't really mean nice bikini. You mean you've got a good body. right? And obviously in his case, the allegation was he was saying that about a child. So when you say put someone in a bikini, it's not because you have an interest in that clothing item. It's because you have an interest in a sexualised image of the woman, I would suggest.
Yeah, and so one of the women I've spoken to as well, she's a broadcaster, and she said that now she's fearful of posting her image anywhere, even though that is a big part of her job, because she's worried that these anonymous accounts will produce these images, and she could be mistaken for that, and it could be professional images completely produced in the wrong way. So for her, there's a big fear that images are being used improperly.
Do you think,
and I think a big part. Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry.
Well, do you think it's a ruse by Twitter or Elon Musk to get? Because everyone now, when the internet came out, it was mainly porn people looked at. Do you think he's realised that and thinks, well, this will get people signed up? And now he's said it sort of adds to it. Now he's saying you can have it only if you pay, which doesn't help matters. But actually, then now he's going to be it'll be increasing the coffers quite significantly. And do you think he knows it's going to come off at some point, but it's just going to drive people to grok?
One thing I do appreciate is that we've had some sorts of response to this, and he is starting to take action, because initially anyone could produce those images, but now it is restricted to paying subscribers. I think the argument is that the function shouldn't exist in the first place, because there are other AI platforms that they don't allow that. So why is Grok allowing?
Yeah, and I mean, we discussed this yesterday, Anna, about the fact that if you have tools like Photoshop, you could make these images anyway, but it requires a fair degree of skill to do it. It's almost the same as when the United Kingdom moved from town gas to natural gas. Your ability to kill yourself by putting your head in the gas oven disappeared. Now you'd go, well, you can still jump off a building, but actually suicide rates declined as a result. So by making it harder to make these bikini photos, you will reduce the total number of them. But I'll tell you something else, Anna, that amazes me. You get a lot of jip, or you've had historically a lot of jip for being perceived as a conservative, perceived as a right-winger, somebody who believes that a man is a man and a woman is a woman. It's remarkable, isn't it, that the victims of this are quite often people on the right, that it's quite often the people who abhor sexism that are so keen to embarrass you with these bikini pictures.
Exactly, and from the other women that I've spoken to as well, several of them were saying that they felt that because they had right-wing values, or when they were on Twitter, for example, if they've spoken up about conservative issues or been publicly conservative, that they actually then saw themselves getting targeted more. And I think for them as well, it was the more that they then spoke up on it, saying this is not okay, the more it actually encouraged them to keep going. So many of these women now do feel very uncomfortable even uploading on X, because they don't even know
it's another element of the war on women, isn't it? Something that you've been battling for a long time, pushed out of your own sports, attacked. I mean, great feminist leaders now being derided. I mean, if you think about it, lesbian groups banned on campus because they won't allow men in, right? I mean, there's all of this, and I just worry. And Anna, I've asked you this question so many times I could set it to music. Do you feel that you have fewer rights than your mother?
Well, no.
But
in terms of that, I'm sorry, I completely misunderstood you there.
No, but do you not feel that the direction of travel is that your mother probably in about 1985 got to the pinnacle of non-sexism in Britain, and we've been going downhill since?
Yeah, and again, I think as well, this is why we're seeing on X these women that are subjected to these issues as well. And what we're now seeing as well from the government is, with Keir Starmer implying that X could be banned, but he will look at everything. And my argument is, no, you shouldn't ban X. Stop the function that is producing these images that are putting women at risk.
It's an excuse to get rid of X, which is, a thorn in his side.
But if you think about it, there are plenty of tools that exist in the world that can be used to create all sorts of illegal things, right? Not just images, but hate speech. I mean, you could use Twitter to try and you could tweet out, let's all go and kill a Christian or whatever. You could have some sort of hate speech or like that. My view is, what you do is you tighten up the law. So as an example, they didn't ban email or WhatsApp, they banned revenge porn. And just for those who don't know, if your partner has sent you a sexual picture of themselves and you break up with them and then you distribute it to your friends or publish it, that is a criminal offence. But the fact they didn't ban the pictures, they didn't ban the WhatsApp, they didn't ban email. They just said it's illegal to do this. Yeah. It's like saying, the dark web's not illegal. What's illegal is trying to buy a gun on it.
But the reason, they say it's for the children, it's for women. This government has shown that it really doesn't care about women. What happens to them in the streets? That's obvious. And they couldn't give a toss about children because there's hundreds of thousands of them been raped and tortured over the last few decades, and this government's the worst. So they don't care about that. This is just a ruse to try and control our free speech, because obviously X is where a lot of people get. I mean, this Iran thing, they wouldn't want us to know about that. The BBC never reported it. There's loads of things they don't want us to know about, and X is the source. Now you get your news. When Iran was, when Venezuela was invaded the other day, all the news channels, they had nothing on about it. You went to X, it was all there. And I heard that President Trump now, in their newsroom, where they watch all the monitors are social media, they don't bother with the news channels anymore.
No, I think X is I know for me and for many people that I've spoken to, when they're looking for news stories or when you're seeing updates, X is the place that you go.
It's instant, isn't it?
Break on X.
It's instant.
Yeah, and I think as well it's given a rise to many journalists as well that you may not have necessarily heard of if it wasn't as a result of X, and people speaking their opinions. I think it's a lot of people have used X as a really valuable news source, and the government considering shutting it down. I don't think that's the right approach. You just need to fix what
do we do? Yeah. What do we do about this situation, which we've discussed, Anna, on many occasions, which is fundamentally, X is an American company, staffed by Americans, domiciled in America. Now, look, people have made the point to me that some of these companies have divisions in the UK. I accept that. But what if Elon Musk was to say to you, the big problem is I am doing stuff that is legal in America, and I'm not going to follow the local laws of foreign countries? Because remember, one of the local laws in Iran may, as an example, be that sending a direct message between gay people is illegal. So should Elon Musk say, well, OK, we're going to comply with Iranian rules, are we going to comply with Saudi rules, with Pakistani rules? Isn't it right, fundamentally, for Elon Musk to say, Twitter will do what is legal in America, and if you want to ban certain activities in your country, then you must ban people doing it rather than taking it off my platform, if you see what I mean?
Well, I do, and I think what is very interesting is people were very outraged that this function exists, and I think the scale of the problem was just getting even worse and worse, and then he had to respond, he had to do something, and we've now seen that is now restricted to paying subscribers only. Even though I personally don't think that goes far enough, it's a start. He's responded, and I think if you see, people are going to continue to be outraged. I don't think the function should exist in the first place. It does seem that he's listening to what the public is saying.
If I'm a paid subscriber, can I be an anonymous account?
I have seen verified accounts on Twitter that are anonymous.
Yeah, right.
You don't necessarily know who.
He got fined for that.
So I don't think you have to be.
They got fined 150 million euros by the EU for that was one of the things. I think it was 50 million for unverified, verified accounts. But they're just doing everything in the EU like they're doing here to just ban freedom of speech.
I used to have a blue tick in the days when it was an American knighthood, and now anyone can get one for 20 quid.
Yeah, no point.
It's devastating.
So I think he has responded. He's clearly listening and starting to do something. I think it does need to go further. I would like to think that if people continue to be outraged, if there is the risk as well, if the UK is even considering banning it, would he consider reversing this image creation?
Well, he definitely won't, will he?
Function?
Wasn't it always part of Grok? I mean, you could say anything to Grok. It's not a new function, is it? Isn't it just something that
Grok thinks you're a Scouser.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
So
yeah.
I'll give you an example. So Snapchat has an AI bot,
Yeah.
and so that means anyone can talk to the AI bot or give you an instant response. So just to give you an example, I tested it, and I want to see what it would say if I said put me in a bikini. So for a start, image creation on Snapchat's AI bot is only available to paying subscribers. But then when I said to it, would you put me in a bikini? It said, no, we do not produce sexualized content. So that was from me asking the Snapchat AI bot. So is there a way that we could code that you can't create those sort of images with Grok's image editing function? I think something like that needs to be considered.
I mean, I think it does, as a final thing, Anna, it does raise a wider question, doesn't it? Because I attempted to use AI, I'll freely admit this, I wanted to put Keir Starmer in an SS uniform in order to use him on a thumbnail to demonstrate his lack of interest in freedom, his opposition to a democracy, his opposition to free speech. And they just said, we will not alter real people in that way. Now,
I saw Starmer in a bikini today. It did that on Grok. Someone said put Starmer in a bikini. He didn't.
Well, why would you not want that?
Didn't look good.
No.
Very realistic.
What was that they said on The Office? You've got nice boobs. They're not mine.
Yeah.
They're not mine.
They were his.
So, sorry, Andrew. What was
Yeah,
your...
no, I mean, you know, why? I mean, the wider issue, of course, is whether we should be manipulating photos of real people at all.
Anyway, yeah.
Because, you know, that could cause all sorts of problems because, you know, you could have, as an example, a picture of, I don't know, you could have a picture of Julia Hartley-Brewer sat on Kevin O'Sullivan's knee and circulate that round, and that would greatly upset their partners. You know, there are things that you can do like that, which I think would be, I'm making it up as
But
an
also,
example.
you can use it if you have actually done that. You can say, well, now it's AI, love. And so...
Well, that's a reasonable point.
Yes,
So it
yeah.
swings
And I
around.
think the AI system, they're just going to continue to improve. I would like to think, is there a way that they could put some restrictions on what could be produced? Can AI recognise what is and what isn't appropriate? I think that's a question to be said. But what I think is the function of producing sexualised images, particularly to women, and it's affecting children as well, as some research showed, that should not exist.
No,
Well, I mean, it's exactly the same. We attempted to use Grok before, and we discovered that Grok thinks that Asher Gould is a Scouser. And we,
All right there, calm down.
and we're fairly certain that the reason for that is that somebody will have gone onto Twitter and said, oh, that guy's got a very strong accent, is he a Scouser? Perhaps somebody who's not from the UK and doesn't know the regional accents. And of course, now Grok believes that. By the way, I want to apologise to all the viewers and listeners. Somebody's got in touch saying, what is Grok? Grok is the AI tool attached to Twitter.
Yeah. Anyway, Anna, we've got to head off, go to the break. That's Anna McGovern, journalist from The Sun. Give us a ring, Thanks, Anna. That was brilliant. See you soon.
Hang on.
0344 499 1000. You can also send us a WhatsApp message on there.
Hang on. Somebody said that they've sent a photo of me in a bikini. Come on, where is it?
Let's have a look.
I can't find it.
They've WhatsApped it.
Oh, look, it's my phone's not connected. Come in.
Oh, not
No, it's
connected. Anyway, look, in 2 minutes
That's your
we'll have a look at it.
Wi-Fi.
0344 499 1000. Give us a ring right now. We're going to talk about some meteorologist Chimdale, not the Carry On film. He's not very funny like that. We're going to talk about Storm Goretti, 99 miles per hour wind and snow to the UK, 65,000 houses, and he says it's all because of global warming. We'll discuss it in a couple of minutes.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely disgusting. Someone's actually put us in grok, and Dave, I feel actually a bit violated. Well, a lot. It's just gone too far. Can you zoom up? Oh yeah, hold that. Yeah, you zoom into me on it, and then you. Yeah, that's just gone too far, hasn't it? I feel violated. There I am in it. Let's zoom in on the breasts.
You've got...
X must be banned. There's mine. Mine are much nicer than that.
Yeah, you've got nicer boobs than me, haven't you?
No, yours aren't bad.
No,
and there we are. Outrageous.
I would like to think that if I was a woman, I would have a better pair than that, if I'm being told. To be honest with you, my man boobs are bigger than that.
I've got better ones than that, yeah.
I've got the moobs like Jabba. I've got the moobs.
Send us a voice note if you're too scared to come on the 03444991000 on WhatsApp. You need to zoom out now. Look,
Also,
right over there now.
Also, I hate to say this, Asher, but I have got a hairier body than you in real life.
Yeah, you have.
The fact that I know that is bad.
All right, man.
But yes, indeed. But look. We said when we debated this with Anna McGovern that for a couple of blokes this is going to be a bit of a laugh, but for young women it is deliberately humiliating, and I think it's terrible. Okay, well, there is a new Storm Goretti, 99 per hour winds. It's not the first storm in the UK, but it is the first storm since climate change became a thing. That no, it's not. We complain about it all the time. Jim Dale is here to tell us the end of the world is nigh. Jim, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. A very busy week.
I was thinking.
Meteorologist. Jim Dale.
Every generation has people that believe that the world is going to end. You are this generation's Thomas Malthus. How does it feel to be that?
No, I'm not saying the world's going to end. I think the world will survive. It's whether the human race comes to an end. That's the point. The world will survive. But look.
Do you agree? By the way, do you agree with young children that I saw out in the street about a year ago chanting, "You'll die of old age, I'll die of climate change"?
Potentially, the potential is there. We don't know.
So potentially,
listen.
In the next 30 or 40 years, we could all be dead.
You and I are not going to be there because we're going to get old and drop off. They're going to be there, and they're fearing for their futures, and that's essentially where we should be going.
Why,
now,
just a matter of interest.
Yeah.
What defrosted the last ice age?
What defrosted the last ice age was a change in the climate.
Global warming?
Hang on, that took 20,000 years to arrive at. Not 10 years, not 20 years. And that's where we are now. You only have to look at any graph. And by the way, these graphs can go back to the mid-1600s in terms of proper authentic, I'm trying to get the word out.
Just a matter of interest.
Yeah, Al Gore said this years ago.
Let's be fair to Al Gore. He said we had 10 years to save the planet in 2005.
Yeah.
But here's my question to you, Jim. So, I personally think that you are shrill and over the top. And I think that, and you think that I am a climate denier, which actually isn't true. But let me just make this point. How are we helping the environment by moving all of our industry to China, to companies that pollute even more because they have lower industrial standards than Britain?
Well, we're not moving everything to China. I think the US. Hang on. I think the US does a great deal of that, but China is ahead in terms of solar power, in terms of electric cars,
coal-powered fire stations, one every week they're building.
Yeah, look,
they don't care about global warming.
We're in a transition zone at this moment in time. That's exactly where we are. And what, you got one foot in one camp, one foot in another. But there is an economic race, and the economic race is being won by renewables. Without a shadow of a doubt.
They've got the most expensive energy. Germany, this country, all the ones with renewables have the most expensive energy.
Actually, let me ask that, because, look, you are more of an expert on climate change than I am. But it is remarkable that, so we always hear these statistics about how cheap renewable energy is, and people bamboozle us with numbers, and I understand that. Every single country in the Western world, as it increases the amount of renewable energy, the cost of electricity goes up massively. If you look at Miliband is hoping to put up our bills, I think, by another £500 a year to put more renewables. If renewables are so cheap, why does every country that employ renewables has higher energy bills?
And it correlates. The more renewables they have, the more expensive it is.
Simply because we're in the transition zone. We have a mixed economy as far as energy is concerned. The subsidies for both renewables and oil and gas, the oil and gas subsidies have been there forever and a day. That is one of the major reasons. And by the way, when you end up with somebody like Putin, you end up with sky high, and that war is still over.
So the reason, just so I get this right, so the reason why energy prices go up the more renewables come on is because of subsidies to oil and gas?
No, but I said there are subsidies in the green renewables as well.
Yeah, but sure, but those subsidies are not directly on your electricity bill. I just don't understand why renewables are so efficient. And somebody like you, well, I don't know if this is you specifically. I've heard people say before that we all know that fossil fuels are bad for the environment, and they are more expensive than renewables, but nonetheless we continue to consume them because our British body politic is subsumed by illicit payments from the oil and gas industry. Well, and if that was all true, then why is it that time and time again, the more renewables we bring in, the more the bills go up? When you say there's a transitional period,
I think you'll find, Andre, I think you'll find in Britain the actual price of energy is going down, not up.
Well, it might be, but we're paying 5 times in industry what America do, and it correlates. Where the more renewables are, like Germany and here, the more they have renewables, the more their energy bills cost. And you know, we're importing oil from Norway, from the same part of the North Sea where we used to mine it.
One of the reasons why old Trump's invaded Venezuela.
Well, he hasn't invaded Venezuela, has he? I mean, he's done the opposite.
Well,
no, he hasn't. Right, no, hang on. Kidnapping an illegitimate president who deliberately rigged the election and who abolished the national parliament. Hang on a second. Right, look, just be clear. Yep. Iraq invasion, kidnapping Maduro, not invasion. You're not a Maduro fan, are you? I mean, the economy declined by 80%.
To be honest with you, the problem with this is we all skim the surface. We all look at social media.
No, actually, I've realised something. I've realised something, Jim. Hang on a second. Let's just be clear on the Jim Dale position. I think we all know now. 80% of the Venezuelan economy was wiped out by Nicolas Maduro. He is running a cocaine dealing gang. But I know what you actually think, Jim. I can read your mind. As long as he doesn't pump oil, the fact that Venezuelans are eating rats in the street is a benefit to the world. That is your view,
not
isn't
in
it?
the slightest.
Oh, come on, admit it, Jim. We're all friends.
The wrong type of person. You may be very right, but that doesn't give necessarily the right.
But let me just ask you a question.
People seem happy about it.
Let me just ask you a question. Which would you prefer? Nicolas Maduro continuing with an economy in the toilet, 80% decline in the economy.
Executing thousands of citizens.
But not pumping oil. Yeah. Or a new president coming in, returning Venezuela to being a wealthy country but pumping oil.
Well, we haven't seen that, have we? Because we haven't seen...
But which would you prefer?
Hang on.
Do a hypothetical.
All we've seen is Trump take the leader away and...
but a hypothetical...
on the high seas taking...
But a hypothetical.
No, we've not arrived at that position
but a hypothetical.
Well, it'll take more than a couple of days,
let me repeat the hypothetical. In theory, would you rather Venezuelan people starved or would you rather them pump the oil? Which is more important to you, people or planet?
Well, it's not that black and white, is it?
I think it is, really, because you're destroying the British economy by not pumping North Sea oil.
In about a year's time, we might have the answer to that when we find out what's gone on. Once he's gone, they put a new president in there for now. We'll see how that one goes. That's the way it is. But hypothetically, if I say to you that as an example, the high energy costs in Britain probably this winter killed 20,000 people, something like that. I don't know the exact figures.
It'll be a lot more than that because in the winter period it's about 40,000 more, and Labour themselves accused the Tories that if you stop the winter fuel, that's 4.5. It's tens of thousands.
So we are now agreed. The transition to green, at least. The transition to green energy has put up energy bills. Those energy bills have killed people. Would you say that the killing of these people was worth it in order to move away from oil?
That's just a bogus argument.
Well, it's not a bogus argument. It was a question.
It's red herrings.
It was a question.
Old people
Red
can't
herrings is
afford
what
though.
you're doing.
They can't afford to heat.
I can feel it. It's the usual sort of stuff that you put stuff out there for people to believe when it's not actually true. So watch energy prices start to move down. They already started to move down, mainly because
from
of
a very high base.
mainly because of this government
doing
what they're doing. The energy bills went up under the last Tory government. We all know.
But following the green policies you advocate.
As well.
That's
the reasons why they got to where they got to.
But they're following the green energy policies you advocate. In fact, they're not doing it enough. Had they done it, had they done everything you wanted, I think energy bills would be £5,000 to £10,000 per household in Britain.
Yeah, well, let's just make something clear. You said something right at the very outset of this, what you're saying about clean air, etc., that fossil fuels are not good for the environment. I'm on side with you. You're completely correct. And that is why, both from a health point of view and breathing the fumes, etc., and climate change, putting those things into the atmosphere that gives us a greenhouse effect, that is the right. So
never mind the old people freezing to death who can't put their heating on. I mean, there was a terrorist attack by Antifa in Germany. It actually killed people. I think they're murderers. But there are old people.
If we turn the clock back and it's just oil and gas, you really think there will be any different? Do you think that those people that you say have died because of the
no, they have died. There's old people. We have callers who are sitting shivering in their houses going, I can't put my heating on. If they were cheaper, they'd be warm, wouldn't they?
But I don't understand this.
Blame your mate Putin.
Hang on. I don't understand this, because you said, and forgive me if I've misunderstood you, you said that the reason energy bills had gone up is we're in a transitional period. Now, that transition can't be from using oil to using oil, or from using coal to using coal. It must be from using fossils to renewables. Therefore, renewables have put up the cost of energy. Or have I missed something?
I think you've missed the fact that the energy costs are coming down, not up.
No, but hang on a second. Yeah, but hang on a second. A 20-stone man who loses half a stone still fat.
Yeah, if you go up 300% in bills and then knock them down 20%, that's exactly what you said. But it doesn't really help matters, does it? You can say it's 20% reduced.
If the 20-stone man has lost a couple of pounds, at least he's going in the right direction, and that's
he's still going to die when he gets to it.
But make it clear, renewables. Green energy is not a case of clapping your hands, it all happens tomorrow. It takes time, and you know what? It's actually happening. Renewables are, even now, ahead of gas and fuel in terms of providing Britain's energy. It's not a case of, just one side of things. We are a mixed economy at this moment in time as far as energy is concerned. That's where we are. As we go forward, there'll be more fresh air, there'll be better in terms of the environment. We will do our
more fresh air
in this country as far as climate change is concerned.
Well, my concern
to agree with, which is really refreshing. You seem to be coming round. And I do notice something, by the way. I chase Reform MPs, Reform UK MPs for debates, OK? I've debated Mr Farage, I've debated Richard Tice in the past. They don't want to know, and it's not me.
Yeah, but that's because they think you're a nutter. It's not because they have a problem.
No, they don't think I'm a nutter.
They've
got no argument. Their argument is being taken away from them by what is happening globally.
No, just to be very clear, that there is a deliberate misrepresentation of the situation. So first of all, pollution bad, right? The Clean Air Act came in long before people were concerned about CO2. My view, and I think anybody else who's sensible, is that you need to move towards that. The concern is when you see what happened in Port Talbot, which is moving to a green economy. That is, you tax the steel works to such an extent it is no longer financially viable, and move the production to China in order to make yourself feel better. That's the concern that I've got, not a more general concern about wanting to be more environmentally friendly.
Well, look, there is, as I said, there is a transition, and the transition from dirty jobs to clean jobs is one that takes a little bit.
Well, we're still going to have to produce steel somewhere.
That's what's happening in Scotland, in certain places that used to have the oil refineries, etc. That's exactly.
We just import the same oil from Norway now.
I've got to say, Jim, we've got no more time, but I will say, what has been done to the Scottish oil and gas industry is a national scandal which has led to poverty across this country. It is madness to buy Scottish oil from Norway because you're refusing to drill it in Scotland. Anyway, that is Jim Dale, the meteorologist. We'll be back just in a couple of moments.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
I get into so much trouble for eating sweets during the show, but I can't help it. We're joined by Alistair Chambers, who is a counsellor and he is an aid worker in Ukraine. Alistair, what have you been up to recently?
Not much, just enjoying Christmas, Happy New Year and all that sort of stuff.
More or less.
Happy New
The
Year,
Spanish
guys.
Christmas is also yesterday, wasn't
That's
it?
right, Epiphany.
Strange, isn't it?
Well, that's not strange.
It's an
it's when-
epiphany. That used to be a club in Coventry.
I think so. No, it's when the three kings actually came on the 6th, so bearing gifts, so it makes sense for Spanish to celebrate bearing of gifts.
So do you do 2 Christmases?
I do, yeah, but it's so much
Greedy.
smaller on the 6th.
Greedy. What do you do on it? Is it quite a... It's a more religious thing on the 6th,
We
isn't
leave
it?
some small presents and shoes.
Small presents.
In shoes?
Shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I'd have known, I'd have had the night off, because I'm equal opportunities with all religions.
Are you really? Are you
I
really?
know no one's going to touch my presents and my shoes.
What's the little shoes about? What?
I don't know, it's something to do with the tradition, yeah.
Oh, sorry, it's not just your normal shoes.
No, it's your normal shoes. You put them in the kids' shoes.
Oh, really?
Strange.
Put presents in the shoes. It's maybe because Spanish people didn't have shoes or...
Well, they didn't have stockings, did they?
More like flip-flops.
So, look, we've got to ask you, Alistair, how many arguments have you had with Gloucester City Council recently?
Apart from the AI argument with the
so
mayor.
explain the AI thing.
So,
We got the video of that.
so basically, the city council's gone out with a begging bowl to central government for 17.5 million. They're basically bankrupt. And if they don't get this government bailout, the council is bankrupt.
Wow.
So I asked for a special meeting with the council to call in to investigate where this money's gone.
Sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, has it gone missing? Is there a police inquiry needed,
Fraud,
etc.? Is there fraud, or has it just been overspent on legitimate causes? The mayor denied the meeting, so I took to Grok AI, which is obviously in the news.
You
at
didn't
the
put him in
moment.
a bikini, did you?
I was thinking of the bikini.
Did
I was
you?
thinking, no, I didn't do that. So I just made an AI video basically of the mayor saying that he refused the meeting and it wasn't...
In his mayor's outfit.
In his mayor's outfit, and did a sort of evil laugh at the end of it.
And it was obvious it wasn't real, although it did look like... Obviously it looked real, but
it
obviously
was
wasn't.
obvious it wasn't real, but sadly a few people thought it was real.
Did they really,
And,
though?
They did, and they complained to the mayor about it, thinking that he had actually put this video out there. But it got the meeting. Look, got the meeting. We got the
that's good.
investigation. We got friends.
So actually,
Grok
Grok did actually sort out some politics.
Grok helped taxpayers. Grok
Yeah.
helped find out where this money's going.
I mean, it's interesting, actually. I mean, sometimes I feel a bit sad that we slag off Gloucester City Council simply because they're not the only people in local government who are thoroughly incompetent. I mean, they are thoroughly incompetent, but there's plenty of local authorities that are the same. But it's kind of a microcosm of what people see up and down the country. I did want to ask you about this. The new rules that the Labour Party, the Labour government are bringing in, that soon local council will be able to charge up to £180 for parking fines. Look, let me tell you what I think about parking fines. I can just give you the example of what happened in Manchester, which was this. Local councils put up parking charges, until in the end the Trafford Centre opened, and what did it have? 7,000 free car parking spaces, and all the town centres slumped. And now they're playing catch-up. And what irritates me about parking fines is that the councils work against their own town centres. So obviously, your town centre does not become more attractive because it costs a £5 to park there. Yeah. So what they do is they go, screw that, we're not bothered about defending the town centre, we're not bothered about the shops, what we're bothered about is increasing our council budget by charging parking charges and fining people. And I find it incredibly frustrating.
It's the same with bike lanes. There's a row of shops near me that all the shopkeepers have gone mad because now people used to park up and get in the shop. Now you've got a bicycle lane and it's totally like you say, they don't care about businesses.
What they've done in Gloucester City Council is quite cheeky. So they've got multi-storey car parks that everyone parks in. And before you had to get a ticket on the barrier would go up, park. On the way out, you have to pay for the ticket.
Yes,
and they've got that parking eye now.
They've got rid of it. You've got to do pay and display. And the reason for that is people are going to forget. They're going to go over their time.
Yes.
There's ways to catch people out, so they got the £180 parking fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think that where you get a ticket. I mean, I don't agree with. I'll tell you what happens in Windsor. What irritates me is that Windsor earns £7 million a year in parking charges because it's a tourist town, and that money is used to subsidise Maidenhead because it's in one town together. Now, my argument is this: right, why are you charging parking charges in Windsor. Is it to enhance the town? Is it to encourage tourists? Is it to encourage people to go to shops? No, it's because we need more council officers. And you think to yourself, you are being given this role in order to improve the town. What you're actually doing is just milking it for as much
Improving their
money.
own lives.
Yeah,
isn't it?
absolutely.
And their pensions, of course. I mean, how much percentage goes on the pensions of your council tax? Sometimes 2/3, isn't it?
Well, I'm sick and tired of councillors claiming a lot of money in allowances and expenditure, and I'm actually putting a motion in that city council councillors have to forfeit their allowance this year to obviously make up for the shortfall and,
Wow.
to show taxpayers.
That'll
that
go down well, Alistair.
Are they investigating it, like you said now? So what are they going to find? Or are they going to just
Forensic
fudge it?
accountants we've asked to come in, so we've got forensic accountants coming in. That's about to be agreed, hopefully, with Cabinet. We put the proposal forward in overview and scrutiny, which
Because
is...
one of the concerns, Alistair, time and time again, it's not just in local council, and I just want to say to anyone, Gloucester City Council are probably no worse than your local council. We just happen to have a council here, so I don't want to, I mean, I do want to do them down, I just don't want to tell you they're unique. But time and time again, the officers responsible, the people that have mucked things up, don't get any punishment whatsoever. I mean, I remember near where I live, we installed, or the town installed a new set of traffic lights as a road crossing thing, a pedestrian crossing, and we spent about 70 grand on this bloody thing. And when Siemens came in, they went, this system was never going to work. And what happens is the council officers just go, hey ho, never mind, let's pay Siemens 50 grand to fix it.
And that's
you
why...
go, if this was my business, I'd go, I'm not paying you.
But that's the whole problem with government and local government. There's no accountability. No one resigns. So you can just do what you want and you just carry on. I mean, look at the West Midlands police chief, still carrying on. Hopefully he'll go at some point. But
You mentioned council officers. We can't mention council officers' names. We can't mention positions. And if we do, we're civilly reprimanded and we've got the risk of going to court.
So you can't stand up and go, look, Billy Jones is just crap.
No, you can't, no.
Which I mean, is just a ludicrous situation.
And Billy Jones stays there, regardless of if Labour, Liberal, Conservatives are in, or even Reform. Billy Jones, the council officer, stays there all the time. And that's what the
and if you
police
do say that, the police turn up at your house. We've seen that. I know there was a guy, Maxie, I think Allen, who used to work here at the Times as well. He was slagging off the school governors because they'd given their debt. They hadn't put the job out properly to take over his head. And the police turned up at his house.
It's actually happened to a Gloucestershire City councillor, but I don't want to mention their name. But
No,
that's
sure,
happened.
but-
They'll turn up at
No,
your
but-
house.
but-
Those turned up at his house 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
For what? For mentioning a council officer?
For basically mentioning council
Because, of course,
officer.
the police are in with the councillors.
But hang on,
The
it's
councillors.
not illegal to mention a council officer. What they're going to do is pretend it's harassment.
It'll be a non-crime hate incident.
That's exactly
It'll
right.
be a
What you
non-crime.
just said is exactly
But it's
right.
not harassment.
No, it's not, and that's the lines they go down. But Dominic Cummings, if you can remember, when he was in under Boris Johnson, he said public servants are the issue.
Yes.
It's not the politicians, it's the public servants. So
Well,
that's absolutely right.
if anyone watching and listening to this, they will turn around and say, hang on a second, Alistair Chambers, who is effectively the regulator of the City Council, you're no longer actually in charge. You're the people who attempt to regulate the officers. Right. If you can't criticise the officers under threat of the police coming to your door, then really you are severely limited in your ability to do anything,
You
aren't
haven't
you?
got democracy, you haven't got transparency.
It is. It's all smoke and mirrors, really, and it's quite sad. If people actually look at the sort of the state of the country and the politics behind it, it isn't what you think. It isn't what you think. But anyway, let's crack on.
No. I was going to say, if the police knocked on my door about harassing a council officer, I'd tell them to F off and shut it. But that's just me. That's just
Anyway, on that bombshell, 0344 499 1000. Give us a ring.
I'm not joking. They'd be sat in the rain, shouting through the door, going, "Mr. Walker, open the door."
Just
no,
don't have a doorbell. 0344 499 1000. We got Alistair Chambers here, leader of the Community Independent Group at Gloucestershire. City.
that's basically nobody else would have your party, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, it is exactly like that.
Anyway,
Exactly like
talk.
that.
Give us a ring, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk. We're still here. This is Andre Walker and Asher Gould, and we're joined by our co-host tonight, who is Councillor Alistair Chambers. He is a councillor, but also a humanitarian aid worker. And this is interesting because no doubt you've got some experience with migrants moving to your town, because they move pretty much all across the country. Labour has spent £40 million paying illegal migrants to leave the country. Now, I've got to be honest with you. If somebody pays you to not be near them, that is a bit of a rebuke of you as a person, isn't it? But the argument goes that our legal system has now been so corrupted by immigration lawyers who are actually activists that it's just easier to pay people than it is for them to fight for 15 years.
Reform the law, that's what they need to be doing.
I guess it depends on how much money they're saving. You know, like if you're going to court with somebody, you might have an out-of-court settlement.
Yes.
It's basically like that, really.
Yeah, but Trump just puts a hood over their head, handcuffs them, puts them on a plane.
And if somebody tries to stop him, they just shoot them.
Yeah, so, I mean, you know, why don't we just, grow a pair?
I guess we're a bit more civilised.
Yeah, but, I mean, that's why we've ended up in this position. It's not impolite to not let people move in.
If you think about it, I mean, 87% of asylum claims to the UK are accepted. That means all those people from Albania, all those people where there are no wars. And bear in mind, there are no wars in any country that we are next to. No war in Sweden, no war in Norway, no war in Denmark, no war in France or whatever. So none of these people are entitled to come to the UK, and 87% are granted because our immigration judges are actually just activists.
So I did a freedom of information on the asylum hotel in Gloucester, and guess how many women are there?
Oh,
Zero.
very few.
Zero. And guess how many children?
Is it zero?
Zero. They're all men. The whole hotel is full of men, and the majority actually are Pakistani.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because what you would say now is, I forget the statistic, but we've said it on the show before. The number of people, if we stopped immigration now, which of course we're not going to do, but if we did, theoretically, there are now something like 1.4 million people on their way to indefinite leave to remain. If they get indefinite leave to remain, they'll be able to bring their entire family. Now, the definition of family in the immigration courts now is anyone that you are close to, right? So you can say we're all brothers in Islam, as an example, and that would be an acceptable.
So it could be up to 20-odd people. Some of these Afghan people...
So what you were talking about now, you were talking about these men who can all bring their wives and children at the very least. They might be able to bring their parents as well. Imagine a further 8 million people come to the country within the next 5 years.
What do you think those 200 men in the hotel would be saying to each other? They'd be like, Ash, I'm your cousin, aren't I?
Yeah, of course. And
you've just been granted asylum, I'm your cousin.
And, and of course they worked it out about £1 million over a lifetime if they live till 80. I mean, this is unsustainable. And a lot of them do come with laws where, if a girl is reached puberty, then it's all legal, because they don't follow our law, they'll follow their own religious laws.
So this system basically pays illegal immigrant to leave.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'd rather secure the border. I think, Alistair, you're driving in the same direction as me, which is to say, look, in an imperfect situation, at least we're getting rid of them. But on the other hand, I mean, look, if I went on holiday now to, to Thailand, right? They don't say, Andre, get off the plane, come into the country, and what we'll do is we'll write to you 3 weeks later to decide whether you should have been in the country or not. They say if you can't produce a passport, if you can't produce papers, you're getting back on the plane.
Yeah, and you've got probably a big fine.
Yeah,
absolutely right.
Well, what they do in America, if you land in an airport.
Do you know what I want to call this system? Labour's pay-as-you-go system.
Pay-as-you-go.
Pay-as-you-go.
Pay-as-you-go. But it also raises the question. I mean, and I don't know the figures here, but if £3,197 plus your airfare exceeds what it costs to cross the channel, then actually it could potentially encourage people, because it would be a financial benefit to them.
I think that's actually less with the going rate. I think the going rate is
the guy
10,000.
that was, the guy that
10,000 from your own home country.
Oh, is it?
To the UK.
guy that sexually assaulted a child in that hotel, I think it was in Essex, and then he got kicked out of the prison accidentally. In the end, I think they gave him
Oh, they did pay him.
500 quid, and that was like a year's or £5,000 and a year's wages where he comes from.
No, they
500 quid or something.
So all of them who get deported, even those that have been forcibly deported, get 500 quid spending money for the home country.
That guy probably would have gone for free because he's going to get beaten up, isn't he, for being a child abuser in prison.
Absolutely. KOS, kill on sight. It's a well-known thing, even in British prisons. Yeah, it's a remarkable thing. I mean, look, well, we've got 1 or 2 minutes left, but this idea that the government or the police can now seize the mobile phone of an illegal migrant. I mean,
we give them mobile phones.
Yeah, we
what
do.
Are you talking
yeah,
about?
take it back.
Yeah,
I'll have it
give
back.
me a nice new one.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think it's a good thing because, you know, what's on the mobile phone? Is there illicit pictures? Is there chat about a potential terrorist attack? You know, if they've got nothing to hide, hand your phone over.
Is there also, and this is one thing that, and I understand why George Soros does what George Soros does, even though I don't agree with him. You know, there are people going round the jungle in France, the tent city, giving people advice on what to say. Claim you're 16. Right? Oh, just shave the beard off, Susan, and pretend to be 16.
Doesn't even matter.
Right? You know, it's kind of that is what's going on. They're coaching people, and it seems to me. And when I say 87% are approved, it's very clear that the immigration court will give you a right to remain in the UK if you have any argument whatsoever, no matter how thin.
Yeah, it's shocking, really. What do you think, Ash?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous.
I love the way he didn't want to answer that.
It's a ridiculous law. You can come here as a 70-year-old man, and by law, if you say you're under 16, they're not allowed to even say, you know, oh, you don't look it. They just have to accept it. And there you are in secondary school with a load of kids.
And of course, that's a great danger.
I've seen children at my daughter's school when she was growing up in primary, bigger than me.
Yeah.
Broader than me, with a full-on beard.
I had that at my school when I was in the
And
first
what about the
year.
blokes?
When I was in the first year, there was one kid who was bigger than all of us and had a beard, and by the fifth year, we were all bigger than him. You know what I mean? But he was 15, it turned out. He'd come over and said he was 15. Good lad, though. He was a nice guy.
He was a nice guy.
The sad thing about that, though, is that they play rugby or sport and they excel because they're so much bigger, so much physical.
Oh, yeah, he did. He was in the first 11. He was crap at football, but because he was so big and strong.
So big, and it's unfair on the other children growing up because they're literally pushing
my understanding is in a lot of schools now, where the 40-year-olds that are claiming to be 15, they just stick in a separate room, but they still give them a teacher. So it's just all a waste of money. OK, well, we will be back with the paper review just a couple of moments. Oh, you normally do the output.
Yeah, 03444991000. Alistair Chambers. It's me and Andre JP Walker out virtual, Ash. Anyway, back in 2 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is a late show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Alistair Chambers, and this is the press preview. I just want to say real big apologies. I couldn't properly work the message system on here and didn't get it to update properly. So I just want to say to Darren Bradley, yes, we do read the messages, or rather, we've started reading the messages. He also says that water companies are dumping sewage into rivers and they're taking huge bonuses. Also, Martin has said, please, put a trigger warning on Jim Dale. Because he just comes on and just talks absolute rubbish.
Just the hot air coming out of his mouth could heat a whole city. Yeah.
OK. Also, somebody has said Thurrock Council has wasted millions on the investment in renewable energy and now it's about to go bankrupt. I think most local authorities are about to go bankrupt. Just want to be clear, we have slagged off Gloucester City Council, but it's only because Alistair happens to be a councillor there. I don't believe for 1 second that they are the worst example. Not while Wigan...
Birmingham and
not while Wigan Council and Birmingham Council still draw breath. OK, you're welcome to call in with... Oh, I'll tell you what.
The councils are welcome to call in with their right of reply.
No, I'll tell you one thing that would be great. Right, everyone always says that I make shows that are like minority sports. Right, let's have a... After midnight, let's try and talk about local government. I'll tell you why, because you will have some good examples, right? I will give you the best example ever, right? At my local council, Windsor and Maidenhead, when the lockdown happened, the government tried to take Windsor out of the lockdown, but unfortunately, whilst that would reopen the shops and benefit the community, unfortunately, the council officers couldn't claim as much for furlough if the town reopened. So they campaigned to keep their own shops and town centres closed. Right, that's unbelievable. But here's the next thing. The first weekend that Windsor reopened was the weekend of the Duke of Edinburgh's funeral, and we had one of our own officers go on TV and publicly ask people not to come shopping in the town. It was the first week we were open. Unbelievable. Right. We've ordered drinks and only one's arrived.
Vodka and Coke. Anyway, let's look at the papers. We've got the Sun here, Soaraway Sun, exclusive in Victor's invite, and he's trying to suck up to the King. Prince Harry will ask Dad, King Charles, to open his Invictus Games when it returns to the UK next year in a major thawing of relations. You see, it's a bit of emotional blackmail, because he can't really say no to that, can he? It's a difficult one.
No, he can't. He'll have to agree.
Yeah. Also, I'll tell you what I thought was quite interesting. I bumped into somebody who used to work at the Sun downstairs, and I said, "What's going on with Brooklyn Beckham?" And he goes, "Listen, he's worse than Prince Harry, entitled, talentless."
But they're good mates, aren't they?
Are they?
The couples are good mates. But does anyone know why he's fallen out? What's the broigus all about?
Yes, apparently he has married an unbelievably rich woman.
Yeah, considerably richer than Yao.
Considerably richer than Yao.
Yeah.
And basically, neither her nor him have got any talent, and they're getting a bit angry. But where the real kick-off happened was when Posh Spice wanted to design the wedding, and the daughter-in-law was not very happy about it. Now, to be fair, I'm probably with the daughter-in-law if that's true.
Yeah, but that's for the Beckhams to fall out with them, not for them to fall out with. There must be actual. Anyway, so that's clear in the air. And holds for £9.50 in the Sun there. Over 300 parks in the UK and Europe. That is a bargain. The Daily Express. Kate's deeply grateful for nature's healing power. The Princess. That's a bit boring, but deeply grateful to nature as her cancer recovery.
I've got to be honest with you about Kate Middleton. Does she ever actually eat? Right, she's so thin. I mean, you know, she's meant to be.
Yeah, maybe the tree.
No, but she was always thin.
Very thin. But you got the pressure of being in the public eye all the time. Haven't you? I mean, right. Diana had bulimia, didn't she?
She's probably got a 24-hour PT instructor that follows her around.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's amazing the way the kind of if you put on like 4 pounds, somebody goes. I mean, I love that when they said of Kate Middleton. Kate Middleton's thrifty. She recycles clothes. No, she doesn't. She wears things more than once, which, let's be honest with you, is not entirely unusual. The idea of clothes is you wear them once, put them in the washing machine, then wear them again. You know, you're not thrifty.
He's saying where, by the way, when he says that. Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, were. Anyway, Daily Mail, how to eat less and enjoy it more. Right, okay.
Can we do that to Chop Chop later?
Thanks, man.
By the way, one of the main reasons we invite Alistair Chambers on is because we like going to Chop Chop, the Chinese restaurant at the Hippodrome Casino.
He pays for it if he's one on the tables.
We
Only if I win.
Yeah, we go to the casino afterwards and go to Chop Chop, which is I'll tell you what. Did I tell you this, Alistair? I once got into trouble off this company because they paid for me to get a taxi home. I used to get a taxi to the casino, go to Chop Chop, and then take a Tekken taxi. I said, but Chop Chop's on the way. They said, no, you've got to get one car from here to home. You can't stop for a Chinese on the way. Disgraceful.
Anyway, the other headline, super strong cannabis on prescription. Thousands of Britons are being prescribed super strength cannabis for anxiety and depression. Despite experts warning of the dangers, private clinics are handing it out after just one video consultation and boast the powerful drug can be delivered directly to the patient's door via next day service.
Let's just be clear on this. Look, I don't know if anybody else is aware of this, but if you go on, I'm not saying I've done this, but if you go online to an online pharmacy and you go, I want whatever drugs on prescription, they'll just go, what are your symptoms? All you do is you can literally copy and paste symptoms from Google, and then they've got a doctor somewhere who will sign off the prescription, and within 2 or 3 days, they'll send you any prescription drugs you want. Fact. I don't know if...
No, with the cannabis thing, you have to have apparently two... like if you've got it for a bad back, you have to have gone to your GP and they have to have not worked, and there's various loopholes.
Oh God!
And stuff,
So they've got to not work.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah, they've got to not work as well, but they just say they didn't.
Well,
really
I mean, how many regular cannabis users are often at the office? I mean, come on. I can only think of one regular weed smoker who actually turns up for work, and that's Elon Musk. And even he's quite spent on occasion.
Do you remember when he came out and said that and the share price dropped? Because he said, I smoke cannabis, and the share price only for a couple of days. And then
went straight down.
Do you remember when he took to Twitter to say that the new Tesla would be able to fly? Right? I think at that moment it was him that was flying, not the car.
Well, they have got now massive drones that do fly. So.
No, he said,
it's true.
He said they were going to put rocket boosters on its wheels.
Didn't he put one into space?
Yeah, but I mean,
he did it on his. He just said
technically it can fly.
Yeah, but he just catapulted it. That's all he did.
He just put it in one of his rockets.
Flew through the sky and into space.
Put it in his rocket. The Daily Mirror, Kate, I'm so deeply grateful. The Princess of Wales has said how thankful she is for the healing power of Mother Nature a year after going to remission. In the footage released yesterday to mark her 44th, Kate said, I find myself reflecting on how grateful I am and what it means to be alive. I mean, what does she mean by nature? Because I remember Steve Jobs relied on herbal and natural things. He didn't go to the get the normal stuff, and he regretted it later on because he would have had a chance of survival if he wouldn't have gone for this.
I think what she's talking about is something actually that comes back, I'm afraid, to immigration. I'll tell you why. Because if you look at where she lives in the middle of Windsor Great Park, there is no doubt that there will be a general wellness to being able to walk around that huge country estate. However, most of us, as a result of the huge overcrowding caused in part by uncontrolled immigration and lack of house building, don't have the opportunity to do what she's done. And so actually...
We haven't got 68 acres.
Well, exactly right. I mean, you've got quite a big garden, but still nowhere near what she's talking about.
Well, so I don't want to be walking around in Storm Goretti.
Yeah, that's right.
Storm Goretti,
Goretti. Okay. By the way, you can also get a National Trust family pass. Don't do that. They're dreadfully woke at the National Trust. I mean, they put a trigger warning on the house of somebody who was a campaigner against slavery on the grounds he was a slave owner. Do you know what their claim to a slave owner was?
What?
They said that he had invested in a company that his brother worked in, where another division of the company once traded slaves, but not at the same time as his brother-in-law worked there. He was a campaigner against slavery, and they said this house was owned by a slave owner.
The irony, most of the houses in the National Trust were owned by slave owners.
Well, absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah, well, they owned us, didn't they? We were
FT weekend. Tehran hardens crackdown on protesters working for Trump. Biggest regime threat in years. Well, I think it's all over them, bar the shouting. Let's hope so. Anyway, what's going to happen to all the IRGC sleeper cells that are in this country?
Oh, they'll all claim asylum. We'll be delighted. Keir Starmer will jump for joy.
That's true. They will, won't they?
I've got to say one thing that I think's going to... I think there's a lot of people in this country and indeed across the world who do not understand the significance of Tehran falling. Most of the really toxic Islamic fundamentalism that exists around the world has been sponsored by Iran. A lot of the trouble in the Middle East has been sponsored by Iran, whether it be the Houthis, whether it be Hamas, whether it be all of these people, all supported by Iran. I've said this before and I'll say it again, you know, they painted Israeli flags on the streets of Tehran because it's so offensive to show the sole of your foot to somebody else.
Yeah.
People were jumping over the Israeli flags. They sang at the FA Cup final, "You can stick your Islam up your bum," not using the word bum. These people actually are now going to be the first Middle Eastern Islamic regime or Islamic country that is going to be supportive of Israel, and I think it's going to be a game changer for the world when these people are thrown out of office.
Of course, we've seen the Abraham Accords with Saudi Arabia, but also obviously the people in Saudi Arabia, they're not really friends of Israel, but maybe Iran will be different because they have actually helped them out quite a lot.
Do you think the internet's helping a lot, where they can see what's going on in the Western world?
Definitely.
I think also
they try and shut it down in Iran, don't they?
Yeah, there's been blackouts, hasn't there?
I think also the other big advantage with Iran is that there are
outs of colour. You can't say blackouts.
There are idiots in the West who think that Hamas versus the IDF is 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. People in Iran know what these people are like.
Well, that's the thing. These idiots that go out protesting, you know, free Palestine, now they don't know what to do, so they're sort of supporting, you know, the former president of Venezuela, and they're hoping the IRGC clamp down on the people. They're disgusting.
Yeah,
these people.
Well, Venezuela seem very happy, don't they?
They're over the moon.
Absolutely. And of course, Trump just wants to take the oil that's not being pumped at the moment. Right, they're losing an absolute fortune.
Yeah, it'll take a few years. The Times, regime teeters in Tehran. Trump says Ayatollah wants to flee amid protests. Starmer urges Iran authorities to show restraint. Well, I think they're all in their bunker now.
By the way, somebody has just texted in the following. Brooklyn Beckham reckons he's a chef. I've been told that the dispute was he threatened to cook at the wedding.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
That's superb. Right, OK.
President Trump has said the Iranian Supreme Leader, Ayatollah al-Khamenei, is looking to flee the country as protests against the rule continue to spread. Thousands of Iranians took to the streets during an internet blackout by the authorities. They've also turned out all the street lights, so you can't see how many are in the crowd, but it's massive. I mean, that's the sort of thing we need to do here, isn't it? People go out and protest on the streets about what's going on.
I think protesting's good. That big march that we attended as well, that was brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely.
The carnival vibe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which march was that? Oh, you can't say, can you?
Listen, right.
Wasn't Nuremberg?
OK.
No.
There's no viewer and no listener who doesn't know which rally we attended. Yeah. OK, I'll tell you what I thought was funny, and I've got to... I'm sorry if
We've attended various rallies.
We have. I've forgot to say, look... This may offend the sensibilities of some people, but you've got to remember these Republican guards, or whatever they're called, have been horrendous to the people of Iran. Did you see the guy who got the homemade flamethrower on them?
I haven't seen that.
Oh, no. he sprayed them with petrol and lit them.
Wow.
I mean, the IRGC, when they got into power, anyone over 12 was in the military, and if you were under 12, they put a little... I think a little Koran route on a necklace, and they ran them through minefields to set the mines off, and tens of thousands of under 12s were killed, and they said, "It's don't worry, you're going to heaven," and all this.
And of course, let's remember, all of the political left were saying, you know, this link between the radical left and radical Islam will change Iran and make it marvellous. All the Ayatollah Khomeini did was shot all of the lefties, and then
immediately.
A lot of them left the country as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
The ones that, and otherwise they got shot. Anyway, look, we've got a little break at this juncture, so we'll be back with the Telegraph and I Weekend, and U2 0344 1000. It's Talk.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and we talk about things during the break. I think it's fair to say we can't discuss what we just talked about then. Okay, we are on the press preview, and this is Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and our guest co-host is Alistair Chambers. He's staying with us until 1 o'clock, so you can get your calls in 03444 99 1000. Asher.
Right, the Telegraph police are giving in to Islamists, says Generic. He warns a fight of our generation, says Britain risks ceding control of our streets. Well, we already have seen that. Police are giving into Villa Park, for instance, but all over the country. Police are giving into Islamists because it's too challenging to confront them. Generic has claimed in an article for the Telegraph. The Shadow Justice Secretary said that unless Islamists were challenged, the government and police risk ceding control of the country and its seats. Well, we saw, didn't we, in Birmingham, when they said, "All right, lads, go and put your weapons all back in the mosque. You know, it's enough. You know what I mean?"
What about the situation in the United Arab Emirates, which has been reported today, and this is simply extraordinary. The United Arab Emirates has taken a number of steps to protect it from radical Islam in Britain. So just think about that. The centre of the Islamic world now says that Britain is a threat because of its radical Islamist problem. They've done a number of things. So first of all, they have made eight organisations in the UK prescribe terrorist groups in the United Arab Emirates because they're linked with the Muslim Brotherhood. They say now the global headquarters of the Muslim Brotherhood, that great terrorist organisation, is the United Kingdom. They've now done two other things, which I think is simply astonishing, and this is the announcement in the past day or two. Number one, no tuition fees will be paid by the United Arab Emirates government to anyone who wants to study in a British university who is from the country. That is in order to avoid their citizens coming into contact with Islamic fundamentalists.
Getting radicalised.
Right.
Yeah.
So the scheme that provides scholarships to foreign universities in the United Arab Emirates is no longer going to include the United Kingdom to protect Emirati citizens from Islamic fundamentalism. Wow. But it goes further than that. They have now, the United Arab Emirates no longer recognise British universities, any of them, as real universities. And so what that means is that if you attempt to present your certificate from the University of Bristol in the United Arab Emirates, it will no longer be recognised as a genuine degree by a genuine university. And the reason for that is to ensure that even people who can afford to study in Britain without the scholarship will not do it. Now, I've got to be realistic here. If you have a degree certificate from the University of Oxford and go for a job in Dubai, I think the fact the government doesn't recognise the degree is probably not going to cause you a problem. But if you are a citizen of the United Arab Emirates and you wanted then to do a master's degree in your home country, you wouldn't be able to do it. And so I just find it extraordinary that these people are now turning around. And the next step, by the way, of the United Arab Emirates is to remove visa-free access to Dubai and Abu Dhabi and the rest of it on the grounds that they need to protect the country from Islamists in Britain. Alistair, that is a shocking situation.
It's shocking. It's very sad because the people that be coming over to study degrees, get masters, doctorates, etc., won't be staying in the UK. They'd find employment. They'd work their placement year here, and they'd probably stay here and bring a lot to the country. Instead of them, we're getting people come over in small boats, not the doctors, not the nurses, but we're getting the terrorists.
Yeah, I think
we're the centre now. I mean, Europe's the centre of Islamism, but we are the actual,
Yeah, we're the place.
Yeah.
We're the place.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what I think is extraordinary, also incredibly dangerous. The United Arab Emirates have done this. The number of Emiratis coming over to the UK actually is quite small. And to be fair, I think if you're very determined to go to Oxford University and you're from Abu Dhabi, you'll probably go anyway. But here's the risk. What happens when a country that sends lots of people over? So, as an example, you can imagine a country like India turning around and going, we are nervous about Indian Muslims going over to Britain because they will be radicalised. We're going to stop it. That is a significant damage to the economy. What about China? China could say, well, look, we're concerned about our citizens. If China no longer bought university places in Britain, there would be a significant diminution in the sector. But I think the fundamental point is this. When Islamic nations are having to protect themselves from Britain because of radical Islam, something's gone badly wrong. And the Telegraph are right on the front page. The police don't give the slightest toss.
Well, they actually look after them because
they're supportive.
Yeah.
They're supportive of terrorism, the police, as far as I'm concerned.
Jane Seymour has said, playing a Bond girl ruined my career. And what she's saying is, British actress Jane Seymour, she said that playing a Bond girl was the curse of her career. A director would see me for a major part, then somebody would say, did you know she was a Bond girl? And that would be it. So
Or she
don't be a Bond girl.
Or she was just crap, and that was the excuse.
Do you know who was a Bond girl? Lizzie Cundy was a Bond. She was a Bond leg stunt double. There's a famous scene with the guy after Sean Connery. What was his name? Timothy Dalton, where she's got his legs wrapped round him in a bath, and that's her legs. She was a leg double, so she's
Lizzie,
half a Bond girl.
how old is Lizzie Cundy on average?
I think she says she's 37.
Yeah, so
No, she's 74.
There's bits of her that are no older than 18 months.
Well, no, that is true, although she deny it.
She's been rebuilt. Seems like, I'll tell you what, she's more...
a bionic woman.
She's more plastic than Elon Musk's new robot, isn't she?
No, we love Lizzie, though.
We do.
Prevent Game treats pupils as extremists. A state-funded computer game is warning teenagers that they risk being referred to a counter-terror programme if they question mass migration.
Wow.
Pathways is a game designed for 11 to 18-year-old pupils and funded by Prevent, the Home Office programme for tackling extremism. Players on
Home Office programme for spying on children.
A white teenage boy or girl avoid being reported for extreme right-wing ideology after discussing migration online. So they're spying on us everywhere.
Well, I'll tell you what was extraordinary. The report by the University of Melbourne that said amongst 11 to 18-year-olds in Australia, 40% of them are right-wing extremists. Right. So basically what they've done is they've come up with a definition of right-wing extremist, which means that anybody who is not an absolute communist is included.
That's how it works, isn't it?
I'll tell you something, though, the other day about racism. Tell you this. I was watching a programme on Channel 4 going undercover with racists. Now, you know and I know that we all yawn nowadays. You're a racist and all that sort of thing. We've heard it 1,000 times. I had forgotten, and I know we've always warned about this, but I had forgotten there were genuinely racist people. Because every time you hear, oh, he's a racist, he's a fascist, it doesn't mean anything.
Well, that's why saying far right is really a danger, because you...
I watched this programme where people were openly talking about killing black people and gassing Jews and all this sort of thing. And I thought to myself, the thing that Asher and I have done, sitting here and warned people about, has literally happened to me, which is... I no longer believed there was anyone who was actually racist. I just thought it was just a word that people used. And if somebody had gone, he's far right, I'd have just gone, oh, he's probably an all right bloke. And so what has happened is by extending the number of people you call extremists, by extending the number, we've ceased to believe that there are genuine bad people. We just ceased to believe it.
Yeah, it takes away the true far right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, or
What are they now? The
calling someone
extreme
racist.
right?
Yeah.
Extreme right. Where's
I
it
mean,
stop?
if now the police came to you and said there's a group in Gloucester which is far right, I imagine your instinct would be to go, they're probably all right. Whereas they may well not be, but you're so conditioned now to believe that far right is just an insult.
I was called far right because I did a freedom of information on the asylum seeker hotel. I was called far right for doing that.
Exactly right. And ultimately, you know, whatever you think of Tommy Robinson, the number of times he gets called racist, far right, and whatever, it just takes away from it. And so I would, if somebody, I mean, as an example, if the fictional group I was talking about, if I was asked to speak at a dinner for a group that had been branded far right, I don't think I'd be particularly worried. But of course, what could happen is you could end up with some genuine rotters. But I'd just, Asher, honestly, I'd forgotten they actually existed.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, and also, I mean, it's a horrible thing to be genuinely far right, but we live in a democracy. You know what I mean? I mean, they're hard left, aren't they? So, I mean,
I think the hard left are more dangerous simply because what they want to do is control what goes on. They're authoritarians. I think it's authoritarians versus libertarians, which is the key thing.
Kendall issues threat to Musk over X. Labour has threatened Elon Musk's X with a ban within days amid a backlash over its AI chatbot and dressing women and children in photographs. Liz Kendall, the Technology Secretary, said the media regulator Ofcom would use the full legal powers Parliament has given them against against X. She accused the company of allowing its technology to create despicable and abhorrent images. She said sexually manipulating images of women and children. But the thing is, they don't care about women and children. There's women being raped. There's kids, hundreds of thousands of kids that have been raped. So they don't really care. This is just to control us and what we can see.
But isn't this a huge opportunity? Because the minute the grooming gangs were exposed, it was the government's instinct to try and find a way to say every community's as bad as each other. So what they'll now do is they'll go, look, there has been a problem with child rape in specifically the Pakistani community, but there's also blokes that have manipulated pictures of women to put in bikinis. It's all misogyny. Men are all the same.
Like the picture that's of you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got nicer boobs than me, though, hasn't he?
Yeah. Which in real life is...
Well, yeah. I'll be honest with you, my actual man boobs are bigger. So I've got a brilliant Samantha in Lancashire. I don't mean to be rude to you, but it is quite funny. You've asked if the situation in Arran is going to affect the UK directly, but you've spelt it as in Arran in Scotland rather than Iran in the Middle East.
Is there a revolution in Iran?
So clearly anything that happens on the Isle of Arran is going to affect Britain because it's part of the UK. In terms of Iran, yeah, look, I think it will. And I think the big problem is there's a great sense of saying, oh, these countries are overseas. You know, Iranian security services operate in the UK. Iran has threatened the world. It has financed terrorism across the world. You know, Hamas, let's be clear, are basically irregular militias of Iran. They're trained by the Iranians, they're funded by Iranians and whatever. So that war in Gaza was caused by Iran. I think the falling of Iran will make a huge difference.
All the seven fronts, the Houthis, the Lebanese, the Syrians, this is all Hezbollah, this is all from Iran. Right, yeah, Iran activates...
But not Arran. The Isle of Arran has funded no terrorism.
So far, so good.
No terrorism.
Iran activates missile cities as Ayatollah faces gravest threat. Iran's supreme leader placed the country's security service on their high state of alert. Basically, police are turning to the protesters, and they're worried about that. They faced the widest demonstration since unrest began last year. Iranian officials said the country was on higher alert than during the war with Israel. Well, it should be, and that underground missile cities had also been activated to deal with external threats. Reports suggest security services were hunting down police who had refused to fire on demonstrators, so they're already turning against their government.
And of course, the left will go, this is Western imperialism, and then basically the Iranians will start shooting their own people, and you will find your Palestine solidarity campaign, your Venezuela solidarity, all of these people, it's all the same people. They'll say nothing.
They'll go quiet. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. Britain braced for floods after snow. Britain has been told to prepare for floods after Storm Goretti. More than 100 flood warnings or alerts have been put in place after a weather bomb brought 123-mile-per-hour winds and heavy snow. The Met Office said a combination of melting snow and rain had raised the risk of floods because, of course, it melts, come down to the mountain.
Do you want to know some sort of sad little facts?
Yeah.
So Goretti is an Italian name for meaning the little watchful one. But they don't name the name after the storm, they pre-name everything.
Do they?
So the Met meet up in UK, Ireland, Netherlands. They agree a list of names from A to Z. So Amy was the first one.
Yeah.
They start the season in the 1st
It's
of
all
October.
female names in alphabet, and then it's all male names.
Yeah,
in
so
alphabet.
Goretti's the 7th storm in, so 7th being G, Goretti. And the next one's Hannah.
All right.
Guess what I is? Can't have a quick guess.
Ian.
No, it's got to be a woman's name.
Hurricane Ian. Storm
Irene.
Iris.
Very close. Isla.
Isla.
Right.
Pronounced Isla. No, I'm joking.
Moss family at war over £27 million legacy. The family of Sir Sterling Moss are locked in a legal battle. He's a racing driver. The papers filed to the High Court contain serious accusations in an inheritance row between the racing driver's children. The claims have been made by Sterling's son, Sterling Elliot Moss, amid acrimonious dispute with his half-sister Alison. Do you remember he actually had a lift built in his house? I think it was by McLaren, and it failed, and he went down and got severely injured.
Is that right?
Yeah, about just not long before
By the way,
died.
Front page,
it wasn't that lift.
Front page of the Times, Monica Lewinsky says I was called a dumb bimbo. I mean, she did perform an obscene act on the president in the Oval Office. I mean, it wasn't exactly it wasn't what a normal intern. Well, maybe it was a
She
normal
get the dress
intern.
after as well, which is even more disgusting.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're going to go to a break, aren't we, Asher?
Yeah, let's go to a break, and it's going to all be about your calls. Let's have a look. Revealed UK Home Office set to start evicting asylum seekers from hotels. Never going to happen. Ayatollah vows not to flee as protests grow, well, then he'll probably get lynched. That's what happens to them. In fact, it's sort of a pure democracy, isn't it? Gaddafi, you get a good run, Saddam Hussein, you get a good run, but in the end you get lynched.
Apparently somebody told me that the way Gaddafi died was similar to that British king. The
poker.
They violated him with an iron bar.
It's on the back of
right,
their
Henry
pickup.
IV.
I can remember the photos.
Not very nice.
They weren't photos of Henry IV, were they?
No.
Anyway, look, 03444 499 1000. Give us a bell, and we're going through all your calls. We've got Ken, Robert, Grace, Heather, Roy, Georgina, Cindy, Paula, Dave, James, and you as well. If you give us a ring, you can leave us.
Does anyone want a lollipop for during the break?
Yeah, Alistair will have one. Back in a couple of minutes.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, this is the Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and with Alistair Chambers. And Alistair was just asking me about these great dictators, whether it be Vladimir Putin, whether it be the Ayatollah Khomeini. Here is the problem. A democratic leader obviously loses at an election or gets thrown out of office and goes and retires. The problem that somebody like the Ayatollah Khomeini has, or Bashar al-Assad has, or Vladimir Putin, is that your life is tied to the career. It's going to be very hard for Vladimir Putin to go, hey ho, I want to retire now. What will happen is all of his enemies will try to kill him, but more importantly, the $200 billion that he's stolen from the Russian taxpayer, they'll try and get it back. And if you look at the problem that you had with Adolf Hitler, the real problem is this. In the end, for Adolf Hitler, losing the war meant his death. So it was the end for him. So it wasn't as if he could turn around and go, well, OK, if I lose the war, then, you know, Germany will continue or whatever. He just literally threw everything.
Well, he said Germany deserves to lose because he thought the strongest should win, and he said Germany. But I mean, Idi Amin went to Saudi, Assad's gone to Moscow.
Yeah, but escaping the country is a different thing. But the problem that you've got with somebody like the Ayatollah Khomeini, he's going to sit there and go, if I'm thrown out of office, in all likelihood I'll be killed or exiled. Therefore, I will do anything now to survive. And the survival of himself becomes the same as the survival of his regime. Whereas, of course, what Keir Starmer's going to do is go, yes, I could send the army in to kill all the Conservatives and all the Reform people, but I'm not going to do that because the end of my career will just lead to retirement. Whereas, of course, what Vladimir Putin's going to say is, if I lose the war in Ukraine, then I personally am going to die. Therefore, I don't have a problem with them ordering 1 million people to die with me.
Yeah, but it sort of swings and roundabouts because, you know, if you have a proper democracy, you only get 4 or 5 years, whereas there you get, you know, lifelong until they come for you.
Well, I think the problem you're going to have...
The purity of it.
I think the problem you're going to have, and this is what Putin's going to be concerned about. Look, he's got 4 kids. The 2 daughters are all right. One lives in Switzerland, the other lives in Weybridge. Amazing, don't live in Russia. But it's the 2 younger ones who are, I think, 10 and 7. They would be killed immediately if Putin died tomorrow.
It'd be like Tsar Nicholas, wouldn't it, where they killed the children,
So
which
the
was
safest
terrible.
area to live in the UK is Weybridge.
Oh, yeah, without doubt.
Well, not now. Yeah, well, probably actually. Yeah, that's why they wouldn't. They wouldn't.
They're not going to. He's not going to. What you need to do is when the daughter and the grandson leave, that's when you need to.
Don't let them leave. Yeah. Right, Ken in London. Hallelujah. What have you got to tell us?
Good evening, gentlemen. I'd like to talk about this AI problem, but first of all, somebody sent me a WhatsApp, and I walk around with a Christian board stating Bible verses on it. But some Muslim changed it into a Muslim prediction. They changed what I had on the board. On the board I had, Jesus is coming, repent, and the Muslim changed it to...
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So just to explain, and I think most people can, I think most people
They didn't
know...
put you in a bikini.
Most people know that you are the guy that very often you'll see with the sandwich board, Jesus is coming or whatever. And Ken, people think he's a protester, he's not. He's spreading the word of God. So they actually altered you to make it look like you were spreading the word of Islam. Now, actually, Ken...
They altered it to say no Christian will enter paradise until he believes in Allah and follows the Prophet Muhammad.
Wow.
Well,
You would not say that.
We said before the ability to manipulate an image, very few men would be upset about it. But I imagine you're deeply upset, Ken.
No, I'm not worried about it. But I'll leave these things with God, Andre. But listen, this is the main point I call. This is my opinion.
Yep.
According to the Bible, under the Satan, this is to do with
What, your
AI.
opinion's in the Bible?
No, this is my opinion. This is not a prophecy. I'm not stating prophecy. I'm going to read it. But under satanic direction, the main and the final purpose of IA or AI is revealed in the Bible.
You said this last night, didn't you?
No.
No, this is different. This is the purpose. The main purpose of AI, according to the scriptures, in my opinion, is that the false prophet, the Bible says, had power to give life unto the image of the beast. That the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many would not worship that image of the beast should be killed. So there's going to be an image of the beast erected in the coming new temple in Jerusalem. And he will deceive the world, and the world will worship this false image. And much of the AI operations are connected to presenting dangerous and harmful images to the world.
Well, we are. Alistair, let me put that to Alistair. Obviously, the Bible's written a long time ago, but Ken makes a number of interesting points. He said yesterday that he believes that ID cards are un-Christian, and his argument was that there's a part in Revelations, I think he said Revelation 14, where it says if you are all marked in the same way, i.e., you are basically tagged, then that is anti-Christian. So, and then he says today about worshipping a false prophet. Well, okay. Some people worship money, but there's no doubt there is an enormous worshipping of this AI entity, which doesn't exist.
Well, look, I think you need AI, and I think if we don't, as a country, stick with AI and start developing it, we're going to be left miles behind. We're going to be a third world.
But it's the obsession with it that's the weird thing. So what you did, you use it for writing things up. I mean, I remember we were talking about doing some work in Gloucester, and you came up with the constitution of a group that was written very quickly. But I think Ken's talking about something slightly different, which is just this obsession with believing that it knows how to run our lives.
Andre,
sorry, go on.
Sorry.
Andre, the climax, the purpose of this devilish AI, according to Scripture, in my opinion, is to create a powerful satanic image of the coming world dictator, the Antichrist. This image is going to be erected for the world to see in the coming new temple in Jerusalem during the Great Tribulation period. And possibly through this power of AI, this Antichrist dictator is going to be worshipped by the world. And those who refuse to worship this coming dictator and his image will be killed. That would be the
Okay, Ken, we're going to leave it there, but thank you so much. But Alistair, I mean, I do think that we need to temper that. Look, all of these things, humans have always made tools. Now, whether that be not the Keir Starmer type, they've always made tools. Whether that be a stone thing to skin an animal that you've caught, or whether that be AI, it doesn't matter. As long as the tool itself is something that serves us and we don't serve the tool.
AI is important. We've got to stick with it. And I appreciate what Ken's saying, but for me, AI all the way.
But your AI thought that Asher Gould was a Scouser.
Yeah, but the other bits were quite good, weren't
The other bits were brilliant.
Apart from it said we did drive time and stuff like that, but apart from that, it was all right.
Yeah, there's a little bit incorrect on a few things, but 99% of it was accurate.
And it was a fox telling us, an animated fox. So
He said that I flipped the bird at the establishment.
You did, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, I have done, yeah. OK, so Georgina is in London. Georgina, you're on Talk.
Hello and Happy New Year to all three of you, and including Ken and Yasmin, the teenage witch, and to the lovely Grace, when I'm sure they're all listening.
She'll be on later, yeah, Grace.
Happy New Year, thank you.
Yeah, Happy New Year, Georgina.
You're welcome. I wanted to ring and talk to you about the coalition of the incompetent Starmer and Macron, apparently pledging to put our boys' boots on the ground to help the Ukraine. Now, I'm at a bit of a loss here because Starmer hasn't got the funding to man our own borders or patrol the channel to stop migrant dinghies.
We've got the worst military. I was read it yesterday. Since 1500, we haven't had such a weak military.
It is a remarkable thought, isn't it? That you're going, we need somebody to man the border successfully in Ukraine. Let's get the British, right? We've got a freaking ocean in between us and the next country, and we still can't protect.
And we need to protect our own country. I mean, you know, we've got enemies within, and we haven't got a military that could cope with it.
I actually think this idea of the Ukrainian border, I actually think is quite a good idea. And I'll explain why. This demilitarised zone. So you've got to remember that one of the reasons that Ukraine has done so well in this war, and don't believe the propaganda, they've done phenomenally well, is that they turned Russian tanks into a 50-ton roadblock by using drones. That's the reality. Now, I don't think there is any point in putting soldiers and barbed wire at the border. What you want is to put drones in the sky. And then what you do is you track the Russian, if there were to be a second invasion, you track the Russian tanks and you have your Bayraktars or whatever ready. Boom, 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 boom. That's the end of the invasion. Ukraine has already done that once with Russia, but now it is in a much better position to do it. Alistair, I guess what I'm saying to you is I wouldn't put British or French or Ukrainian troops on the border. I'd have it in the sky, which is what Zelensky's proposing.
I think obviously the most best way is, like you said, in the sky. Don't have humans doing it. Don't risk life.
Yeah.
It's
a new modern way of warfare. Like the First World War, they were still using old techniques with modern weaponry, same in the American Civil War. And we've got a new form of war that we haven't really modernised. So you can destroy a £10 million tank with a £1,000 drone very easily.
Well, what about this point that Georgina makes? And I've heard Steve Bannon make it before, which is this whole. He said, look, you know, Britain and France are going on and on and on about what they're going to do in Ukraine. Our military is critically under strength now. The Ukrainian border, as you well know, with Russia is colossal. Colossal. Now, if you were to put, I hadn't realised this, for every one man you deploy, normally you need 3. So you need 1 in training, 1 on the ground and 1 recovering, if you like. And so we're talking about, say, needing 100,000 British soldiers. So you'd need 300,000. We've got 80,000.
And half of them aren't actually fighting troops, do they? Like the cooks.
So we've got 184,000.
I think in the army, but across the services, we've got different numbers. I think the Royal Navy's quite. I might be wrong on the numbers. No. But the point is, even if Britain and France committed every soldier they had, they couldn't defend the Ukrainian border.
And Russia don't care about throwing, you know, the meat grinder. They've already lost, I think, about 1 million men, and they don't care. Sorry, Georgina.
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, Andre's just said what I was going to say. You know, our defences are totally depleted. We can't even man our own borders. And I mean, I always think that our country should always be war ready, not because we want war, but because having strong military defences is the best deterrent against war. And we haven't got these defences.
I mean, if actually, let's just be clear on defence versus warfare. you know, if Putin had known what Zelensky was going to do to him, he wouldn't have invaded. There's no way, as Putin is sat there now, there's no way that he privately thinks that's gone well.
You know what? I think
He'd never admit it.
as a country we put ourselves down too much, really. I think we've got a really good military. I think we're professionals, although we're small, and that's what's been found before. We've had the British against the Zulus. 20,000.
British against the Zulus.
Yeah, there was 20,000 against like 3,000. We held them off. We won.
No,
Have you seen the Michael Caine film? He doesn't don't do very well in that.
There was 124 Welsh engineers. No, there's Zulu Dawn and then Zulu in the film Zulu.
We're an amazing country. We're fantastic, and we've got some brilliant hardware. We've got the N-Law. There was the N-Law. They called it Saint Javelin. The Ukrainians they named it Saint Javelin.
Right, yeah.
Saint Javelin, and the N-Law. They basically praised it. They made T-shirts with N-Law on it.
Yeah, they did.
Because that's what stopped Putin.
Yeah.
It wasn't the drones to begin with. It was the N-Law and the Javelin.
Yeah, the Javelins.
And we created those weapons.
Yeah, but in the Second World War, we had about 3% or something GDP, and in the end, when we had the war, went up to like 40%. And they said if they would have had like 10%, then we wouldn't have gone to war. So you've got to do it as a preventative measure. So they look at you and think, well, I don't fancy that much.
I think the other thing, Georgina, that my response to Alistair would be, is that he's right about this being a great country.
Yeah,
the problem is we're a great country that's not doing the basics.
Right, hang on. We've got to get here now into 2026. It's great talking about when we defeated the Zulus, but that was a long time
By the way,
ago.
stop everyone. I just want to say, only on an Andre Walker show would we venerate the defeat of the Zulus, right? only on. That's not happening on the BBC. You can shove your 5 Live up your hole, right? It's just not going to happen.
Well, I was just going to say that's all well and good that we defeated the Zulus, but we've got to get in the here and now. And the fact is, we need to get our defences up and ready. Now, you know, Keir Starmer's talking about spending £1.8 billion to fund Tony Blair's digital ID dream. But I think it's a serious case of misplaced priorities here. He needs to think about spending that money in defending our country.
Keir Starmer's view, and I know it's ludicrous and I know it's laughable, but his view is that that effectively, you know, world governance is on the way. International bodies are the most important thing. International law is the most important thing. The big threat to the United Kingdom is far-right agitators who want us to disengage with international bodies.
Which is what every country's being told.
Keir Starmer, I believe Keir Starmer genuinely believes that giving the Chagos Islands to Mauritius will lead China to be more willing to follow international law, and that will make war less likely.
Andre, if that is the case, then Keir Starmer is the greatest danger to Britain
without a doubt.
that we have
Well,
ever
he is.
had.
We know that.
Without a doubt.
So, you know, this is more than serious. This is terrifying. Keir Starmer and this government are the greatest enemy to Britain.
Although let me just make one point about the small boats. You know, this is the first naval invasion in history where the defending military has assisted it. And that is to say that the small boats, if you were to try and fight them off or stop them, you could do that. The reason the small boats make it to the United Kingdom is because our own Royal Navy and our own lifeboats pick up the boats and help them come here. So the invasion is being assisted.
And then we pay for the invaders to stay here until they're strong enough to take over.
And now we pay them to go, potentially.
Yeah, but we don't really want them to go, do they?
So as an example, if we abolished the Royal Navy tomorrow, if we abolished the RNLI, fewer people would illegally enter the UK. It's just a fact. Now, that causes problems in of itself because they'd sink, right, and be killed. But on paper, fewer people would arrive.
Well, are they not taking their own? I mean, these guys are knowingly getting into boats, putting themselves at risk.
Well, the problem is the European Convention on Human Rights says that once they enter UK territorial waters, our duty is first and foremost to look after their human rights, and secondly, to worry about our own.
Well,
and by the way. Anyway, look, Georgina, we've got a break, so we'll come back to you after this. It's killed thousands of people, those trips, mainly from Africa to Spain, but of course a lot of them will be coming here. We'll be back in a couple of minutes. Back with Georgina.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Alistair Chambers. Oh, there we go. Chambers. A bit like John Major. Okay, the number to call is 0344 499 1000. This because I'm eating sweets in the break. Right, I've got a gloopy sugariness in my mouth. I'm going to have to get some water. You can phone us. We've got one slot available. And Gina, what were you going to say? Go for it.
Right, well, I was just going to say, before the break, you was talking about the ECHR. Well, we need to leave the ECHR, but the Labour Party have got to have the political will to want to do it, and they don't, because until we leave the ECHR, we cannot start putting our own political plans in order to get things right, to sort this mess out. So until we leave, we've got no chance.
Well, they don't want to sort it out, and the irony is the EU, they don't bother with the ECHR. They can avoid it, and because they're all friends there, they go, oh yeah, we'll turn a blind eye. But yeah, in the UK, it's banded onto our law. It's actually Tony Blair did it.
Yeah, I know, but we can't afford now to be benevolent. We can't afford to keep our own in this country. We're having real problems, and we are on the verge of bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Now, this Labour government are going to keep spending and coming back to us, the taxpayers, for more money.
I mean, I've got to be honest with you. If the UK was a private company, you would be coming close to trading whilst insolvent. Because you're actually now simply ordering stuff that you've got no way of paying for.
It's a luxury we can't afford.
We can't afford it, and we haven't been able to afford this for a while, but they still keep coming back to us with the basic BS and telling us to put our hands in our pockets, and we're all sick of it.
I remember when we had austerity under David Cameron, and he turns around and goes, but we're going to increase our spending on foreign aid. And remember what we'd done? We'd passed a law under Tony Blair, the Bribery Act, which meant you couldn't tie trade with aid. So you couldn't turn around and go, oh, we know that you need this hydroelectric scheme, but also we're only going to do that if you buy fighter jets from us rather than buy them from the Americans. What we had to do was give them the money and then say, well, we can't advocate for anything trade-wise. Just madness.
Just go for it. Yeah.
It is total madness. But, I mean, listen, I'm a lot older than all of you who are sat there now. I've seen a lot, and I've seen a lot of government.
You've been round the block.
Darling, I've been round the stratosphere. Never mind
okay, right. Fine.
Okay, but what I'm saying to you, what I think should happen now, we need to cut all this foreign aid. We have got to look after ourselves now. We've got to put Britain first and the people of Britain.
But that's not going to happen under this government.
No, because once again, and people are shocked by this. Look, people like Keir Starmer believe that there is a global community and nobody has any greater right to live in a country than anybody else. He believes that the reason why, say, China is backward is because of colonialism that existed historically in Britain. And if we all come together under the United Nations and under international law, then all countries will become free and democratic.
And it is coming from world supernatural.
This is so ridiculous. None of us have ever been slave owners, and none of the people in this country who have been here have ever been slaves.
But this is a worldwide thing, Georgina. This is the digital ID is being introduced in all countries around the world. Migrants are being put in 5-star hotels all around the world. This is not our country. This is Starmer being ordered by his superiors from the WEF, from the UN, Davos.
People have a go at Davos, sometimes unfairly, but there is a global brotherhood whose job it is to no longer be democratic, but rather to advocate for the Davos position across the world.
And that's how they get away with it. Starmer goes, well, there's nothing I can do. It's nothing to do with us. We're being ordered by international law.
This is why he wants to get us back into the EU. This is why he wants us back. He doesn't want us to have Brexit. He wants us to get us back.
And the EU's failing terribly economically. We could actually...
Of course it is. But the thing is, then all the problems that he faces in his premiership. He can blame the EU.
Exactly,
then.
that's
He
why
won't
they do
have
it.
to take. He won't have to take the blame on his own shoulders because he can say, "Oh well, I had to do that
Yeah, it's not-
because it's
Okay,
the
we were
EU."
ordered international
Georgina,
law.
Georgina, we're going to have to leave it there. By the way, to Richard in Leicester, I don't see why you should bother insulting us, but when you say you lot are stupid, we wouldn't win a war against Russia. A, we're not proposing a war against Russia. B, Ukraine just beat Russia. And when people say that Russia is the second strongest army in the world, let's be clear, they've been proved to be the second strongest army in Ukraine, and there's only two. Right, so let's just...
You put that in your pipe
at
and
the end of the
smoke
day, they said that they would take Kiev in 48 hours, and what they've done is taken a substantial part of Ukraine, but nowhere near the majority, not even the majority of the Russian-speaking areas.
0.75% in 2025.
Yeah,
And lost about a million men. Anyway, we're coming up to midnight. 03444991000. It's Talk. We've got Alistair Chambers here. It's me and Andre. And back.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is the Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Alistair Chambers. Let's go to Robert in Hertfordshire. Robert, you're on Talk.
Hertfordshire Bob.
How are you guys and gals?
We're all right,
Hey,
man.
Robert.
What I wanted to say to you was, I went on Google today and depressed myself, but I'm not going to hold it to myself, so I'm going to share it with you. I can't believe that the London mayor can't be sacked. I'm absolutely shocked. He can't be sacked.
Well, so you would advocate something like the London Assembly, if it had a majority of 2/3, could remove him from office or something?
Well, no, according to Google, he can't be sacked.
No, he can't be. No, he's in office for the full term. I think if he was sent to prison, he'd be disqualified from public office. But you're right. No, he can't be
Could he
sacked.
not be taken out by the Labour Party or anything
No.
like that? So, because you know you could get rid of Starmer if the Labour MPs.
That's actually frightening, isn't it? That the mayor can't be sacked or can't be removed if
Oh,
there's
yeah,
2/3
very
votes.
frightening.
Never knew that. Unbelievable.
Yes.
There is someone who's going to get rid of him, and that's Layla Cunningham. And last week, Andre, you didn't even know who she was, right? The two who she was. You know who she is now, though, don't you?
I do. Look, Layla Cunningham, let's be clear, I want her to win, but she is polling third at the moment. Well, probably not third as we stand today. At the last poll, she was. look, I believe that Sadiq Khan's strategy, which is to flood London with migrants, to force effectively Londoners out of London so they can no longer vote, and then to accuse all of his opponents of Islamophobic racism, and also to do things badly but use his press team to blame the government, I think is a winning strategy.
Who's polling first at the moment then?
Sadiq.
Oh, I'm joking.
No.
Well, but
Who's second? Is it Anne Middleton?
No, he's not in. He's
no,
in it now.
no, sorry. Actually, let's just be clear. Labour are polling first, the Conservatives are polling second, Reform are polling third. I don't think it's actual names of people, to be fair.
Okay.
And also, these polls were before the selection of Layla Cunningham.
And Labour normally is at front in the London mayoral election.
I find the whole thing, I find devolution depressing. I think it has destroyed this country. I don't think London has benefited from Sadiq Khan. I mean, I quite like Andy Burnham, but I don't think Manchester's benefited. And I definitely think that Wales has been destroyed by its awful government.
Gloucester's going through devolution at the moment with the electoral mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, in Manchester there was the grooming gangs cover-up, so it's not going that
You're going to
well
have a regional mayor, are you? How big is it going to be, the whole of Gloucestershire?
So the whole of the county, Gloucestershire, is county, but you've got in their boroughs, you've got like Gloucester, Cheltenham, Forest of Dean.
Are you not going to
Cotswolds.
run then as an independent?
No, got no chance. So basically, they're combining them all to have possibly one single authority, and then twinning that with electoral mayor from Bristol as well. So it's going to be spread over. So it's
yeah. So what will happen is precisely what happened in 1974 in the areas where they've got expensive assets like town halls and whatever. They will all be sold in order to refurbish it. So you'd end up. So as an example, if you had Berkshire. You'd end up selling all the assets in Windsor, Maidenhead, Bracknell and whatever, and all the offices and all the money would be moved to Reading. That's what would happen.
I think in Croydon they had a massive art collection donated to them on the proviso they can't sell it, and then they just sold it.
Yeah.
Multi-millions. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Robert, thank you so much. Let's go to Grace in Ealing.
West London.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi, Grace.
Hi, Grace.
I don't want to be argumentative, but I have to really disagree with the suggestion that aid should be stopped. I'm aware that some aid is not well spent. Unfortunately, that's true of all government spending. In fact, all spending generally.
Yeah, but it's corrupt, isn't it? It goes to some dodgy leaders, you know what I mean? It goes into their back pocket.
What evidence do you have that the majority of it is corrupt?
Well, I haven't said the majority, but a lot of it is.
But didn't the King of Lesotho ask us for a bailout, and when we told him to sell his Maybach, he refused?
I mean, look at UNRWA. Look at that. That's just a terrorist organisation that we give money to.
I would completely concur that UNRWA seems to be a problem, but the majority of aid is actually spent on... I mean, one of the programmes, for instance, that has been cut because of Labour's recent aid cuts. Now, we can't fix the UK by ending aid anyway, because it's being cut to 0.3% of our GDP. So it's a tiny amount of money in terms of...
That's not a tiny amount of money. That's an enormous amount of money. It's just not big in percentage terms.
Because
it's billions of pounds.
It wouldn't make a significant... And each pound can make much more impact in poorer countries than it can here.
Well, why did you say poor countries? I mean, we give a load to India, who've got their own space programme.
I don't think that we still do give to India, actually, but if we do...
We do.
We give money to China, you know.
Yeah.
It doesn't. Well, but do we actually give it to their government, or do we give it to programs that are helping people who are there?
Well, that's right. But
where does it go? The money,
look. You're right. The UK aid budget is tiny in percentage terms, but it's still 15 billion. It's still 15 billion a year.
2.3 billion to India.
Where did you get that?
Between 2016 and 2021, 2.3 billion pounds to India.
2021. I think that's the point at which it stopped in 2021. Right. But the point is that it should be improved in terms of how it's managed. It's sometimes not always spent as well as it should be, rather than it being cut. Much more money actually comes in the opposite direction. Far more money comes from poorer countries than it is given in aid. We're actually still receiving, because of the way that our banks, for instance, charge poorer countries ridiculously high interest rates, because of the way that our corporations take their resources. So we're actually getting more than we're giving in aid. And where there are issues, they should be reformed rather than it being cut, because each pound that is spent well can make a big impact. One of the programs that has been cut is a program to reduce FGM. So the government, while it's saying...
but you used to go to one of those SDM clubs.
I'll give you some examples of some worldwide. You've got soap operas to change behaviour, Ethiopian bees and luxury honey.
The Ethiopian Spice Girls, wasn't that one of them?
Theatre groups in conflict zones, climate change camels, bicycle lanes overseas, mindfulness and yoga programs, rap music against extremism, pride events abroad, fish discos.
These are all great things,
fish
actually. I'm
discos, no
changing
joke.
my mind.
But what about this though, Grace?
Improves fish discos, improve fish yields.
Oh, fish discos, yeah.
But Grace, what about this?
Rock lobster.
We haven't properly looked into UK aid, but okay. So you could say, I've just worked out, UK aid is £21 for every man, woman and child in the country per year, and 20 quid a year, I think for most people is not an enormous sum of money, though it definitely adds up. But what about this as an issue? We discovered, or rather Elon Musk discovered, that it was US aid that was funding the trans lobby in the UK. That is to say that all of these trans groups were now pushing the agenda of having children having their genitals surgically removed, and that was being funded by the government of the United States of America against the wishes of the American people. And when the American people discovered that they were doing that, now when that aid ceased, Stonewall could not replace the money. That is to say that British people did not agree with what was being funded by the United States of America. What if you found out, as an example, that gay rights were being promoted in Nigeria? Something that is against your Christian faith. What if it was that the trans lobby in, say, Russia was being funded by the United Kingdom? Would you be happy with that?
On the subject of Elon Musk, can I come on to the whole X thing and reference what Ken said after this? But I'll answer your question first. I would completely concur, as I said earlier, that some aid has not been well spent, and I think that the answer to that is to redirect that money to programs that are genuinely helping the poorest people rather than to just end it, because we should be helping the people in our world who are literally starving and who can be fed and helped with medical assistance much more.
It never works though, does it? Never gets to the starving people.
No, it does. It does, and there's plenty of evidence of that.
Well, why are they still starving around the world?
Because, as I said earlier, there's more money coming in the opposite direction, and because the amounts given are so small, and because
what about this argument, Grace? What about this argument? So, I've said this before, and you are welcome to challenge me, but I believe that overseas aid is what is making Gaza poor, right? So you go, hang on a second, how can giving them money make them poor? So first of all, Gaza is an interesting example because they have had more aid per capita than any humans that have ever existed in history, and it's not even close. They have their own, for various reasons, they have their own aid service. So they don't use the usual UN thing. They have this MUMRA, as I like to call it. But anyway, so what you would imagine, having been the recipients of the biggest amount of aid in the world, you would imagine that they were rich. Actually, they have nothing. And I don't mean that just in financial terms. They have nothing economically, they have nothing politically, they have really very little culturally, and even religiously, there's not many institutions. And so, when you look at the country that's received the most aid in the world, it is one of the poorest countries in the world. And I say that's as a result of the aid, and I'll explain why. Because that criminal gang that runs Gaza only run it because the amount of aid they can steal and the amount of money they can take off. Yasser Arafat, who never had a job in his life, was worth $1 billion. All of the head of Hamas are multi-billionaires. And you ask yourself, would these people who run Hamas actually do that job if they weren't able to enrich themselves from aid? And the answer is probably no.
Well, of course, and they want to keep them subjugated so the world goes, oh, look how terrible it is for them, and give them more aid.
And therefore, Ash is right, and therefore they are subjugating the people of Gaza in order to steal the aid money. Now, I can prove that. I'll tell you how I can prove it. The Abraham Accords were about to be signed by Saudi Arabia. In panic, Hamas launched an attack against Israel. Right. Yeah. Now, let's be clear what they did. They targeted the kibbutz that were committed to peace. What? They didn't attack, principally, the Israelis that were against Gaza. They attacked principally the ones that were in favour of them. That's why they went to that festival. What was it? The Nova Festival. Yeah. That was a peace rally against the IDF, effectively.
And also, on that day, Hezbollah were meant to simultaneously invade. And I think that's why the Israeli defence were up in the north. That's why they took so long. Because they weren't really worried about Hamas incorrectly.
So you've got a position where the people of Gaza would have benefited from peace in the Middle East, and their own leadership panicked and took action that they thought would prevent peace. And why were they doing it? Because they're a criminal gang getting fat off overseas aid. If you cut the overseas aid to Gaza, people would be richer and they would be safer and they would be more free.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree particularly. I think that Gaza is a particularly unusual and complicated situation, and I don't understand why there are so many people in this country who are incomparably more concerned about Gaza than they are about other situations where people are suffering. Because in Sudan, for instance, atrocity prevention programs have been reduced by our government from what they would have been because of our government cutting their overseas aid. And I don't see people who are protesting in support of Gaza caring about those people in
And
Sudan.
there is actual genocide going on in Sudan and Nigeria and many other countries. No one cares
because look, what they see Gaza as, they see Gaza as an opportunity to stick it to the Western world. They say that the Western world is not as great as we say it is. They say freedom will be spread by the dictators of the world. God knows how they concluded that. But look, Grace, you and I are going to have to agree to differ, but I have to say, as a general principle, when the country that receives the most aid in the world is the country that has benefited least from that aid and has been made poor by that aid, then that says something about aid in
And the
general.
leaders of Hamas were in like the top 10 richest leaders in the world, which is ridiculous. Richard in Leicester says, Grace, charity is the wages of the corrupt. Get a grip. It's Talk. Alistair Chambers is here. It's me and Andre. 0344 499 1000. Back in a jiffy.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk. This is The Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and Alistair Chambers. Alistair, how are you burning up? Are you having a good time?
Yeah, I'm good. I always love coming here, listening to you, Andre. I learn a lot. Ash with his one-liners.
You don't learn anything from Ash.
You won't learn
No, you do. You do. You get a good.
Well, one
comedy
thing
vibe.
we can learn, major cities in Iran have fallen, including Tehran, to the Iranian people. So that's good news.
Really?
Maya Touzi, yeah, whose dad is actually imprisoned as a political prisoner.
Although Maya Touzi is, look, I love him very much, but he is also partly a propagandist.
He's got a dog in the game, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. He has. Yeah. Although the slight problem is, are you going to help? Because Maya's going to go over to Tehran when the regime falls, and he's going to need some people to help him out.
I'd like to go and help. Yeah, we've done Ukraine together.
Yeah.
Let's do Iran.
Let's do Iran.
I might give that one a
I'll
miss.
tell you, I'll tell you what we'd do.
I could probably blend in quite well, though.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what we'd do. I reckon if we went to Iran, so we'd need some bodyguards, what we'll do is we'll pick them up in Armenia next door, the Armenian Christians with Kalashnikovs. Sorry, we shouldn't talk about actually invading a country live on air, should we?
Do it in the breaks.
Always remember, Alistair Chambers, the aid was all humanitarian. It wasn't.
You should only discuss invasions in the break.
It wasn't your fault that they used the drones for purposes of...
Alan in Derbyshire.
Hiya.
All right, Alan. Morning.
A few things. First off, with regard to your last caller, I think the problem with England is not over 50s white men, but the liberal socialists who still believe we live in a liberal country. I think they'll be our downfall.
But isn't part of the problem that's happening around the world? Democracy is a great thing because what it does is it gives you the ability to openly debate things and eliminate governments when they run out of steam. If you live in a quangocracy like we do now, actually, the failures of the government never result in the government changing. OK, you change the Prime Minister, but the Prime Minister is irrelevant now to the government.
Yeah, but democracy fails when you can just move into a country from another country and you immediately get the vote.
No, but the point I'm making is the stakeholder democracy of Tony Blair is such, like Alistair was talking about earlier with Gloucester City Council, whichever way you vote, the officers never change, and what they do never changes. We were talking the other day about the Equality and Human Rights Commission. You know, it is the law of the land that men cannot go into women's changing rooms. Months and months and months after that was confirmed by the Supreme Court, the Equality and Human Rights Commission aren't going to push forward with that. My point being this. Our country's problem is that we are not a democracy anymore, and we need to return to being a democracy.
Yeah, I think it just shows you how rubbish the whole system is when even our elected MPs can't get an answer from the government when we have this supposed Wednesday thing.
Even the government can't do anything. I mean, the Cabinet Secretary, they have all the powers. They were meant to originally, when they were formed about 100 years ago, just there for administrative reasons, but they've taken over the running of the country, as Dominic Cummings says.
I remember,
you pull a lever and nothing happens.
I remember, Alistair, so you will remember the days of the police authorities. And one of the reasons we got rid of the police authorities was officially we had a delegate from Windsor and Maidenhead who went to Kidlington, to Thames Valley Police Headquarters, and his job was to represent us to the Chief Constable. That's not what happened. What would happen is the Chief Constable would get them all together, pay them 30 grand a year or whatever it was good money, and then basically explain why she was doing what she was doing, and these people would then go back as delegates to their own communities to explain why the Chief Constable was doing what he was doing. And so the thing was reversed. Your job, and the reason you're so hated by some people at Gloucester City Council, is they expect you to go out to your ward members, your constituents, and sell what the officers are doing, whereas what you do is go to the town hall, City Hall, and attempt to get the officers to change.
You basically do what you're meant to be doing as a politician.
They don't like scrutiny, and the moment you start scrutinising is when you're under the
They
fire
don't like
line.
transparency, like you said. They won't even let you name people.
That's right, you can't name officers, but I bet you've got the same public servants and officers that were under Tony Blair, Gordon Brown.
Oh, yes.
They'll still be there now, working under Starmer.
And look, and now you get all these quangos, and I think the classic example, as I say, is the Equality and Human Rights Commission. Its legal job is to protect women's rights, and it is refusing to do it in convention.
So I'll ask you this, Andre, what would you do to change it?
You've got to get rid of all the quangos day one. You've got to come in as a new government. You've got to get rid of them all.
And the Cabinet Secretary.
But as
and all
David
that,
Starkey
said,
says, the Supreme Court may well strike down the abolition of the Supreme Court, at which point you have to send the army into Middlesex Guildhall. That will be fun. I'm up for it.
Alan and Heather, in Govan.
Do you know what? I've been thinking all about these victims. I've been listening to what Kevin O'Sullivan said.
Kevin O'Sullivan?
Saying about these, victims of sexual assault and rape, and they're not getting justice, and all they're getting is a pathetic apology from these bastards who have raped these women and assault these little girls. the justice in this country is absolutely stinks.
And just Heather,
we don't have justice. We've got law.
Heather, just to remind people that you've said, and I'm glad you did because it's helpful to other people, that you were a victim of child abuse, and that whilst the abuser was jailed for 6 years, you didn't feel that was sufficient, and that forced you to leave Leeds because there was too many bad memories. Just a bit of context for people listening.
Yeah. Because I'm speaking on behalf of all the victims of this country, and it's about time that I'm going to be the voice of all these victims who's not getting justice by
what would your message?
The justice system.
Heather, what would be?
I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. Being forced to accept an apology by these scumbags. It's absolutely atrocious.
Heather, give me a second. What's your message to Sadiq Khan, who has refused to allow the Metropolitan Police specific funding to investigate grooming and has denied that grooming takes place in London in order to protect the reputation, as he perceives it, of one community over another?
Well, my advice to that idiot, go hide under a fucking rock. Sorry for swearing, by the way.
I have no problem.
I'm absolutely... I'm sorry for saying that, and I don't mean to swear.
Well, you get very emotional, and that's understandable. I mean, I remember there was this 13-year-old girl who was raped. She was pregnant, so she was obviously raped. The guy didn't even get locked up for rape. He was out within 3 years, and he was bumping into her in the shopping centres.
It's almost this justice system, the police, Sadiq Khan and these useless scumbag politicians are giving licence to these rapists, giving licence to these child sexual abusers to go around sexually abusing all the girls, going around sexually abusing all the women.
I mean, the performance... Alistair, the performance of UK local government, and obviously policing is a local government function, people don't think of it like that, but the performance of local government in the face of grooming gangs has been beneath appalling, hasn't it?
I completely agree with everything Heather's saying.
Oh, sorry.
Everything Heather's saying I completely agree with. It's absolutely appalling. The system is not there to help the victims, it's there to help the perpetrators, and it's absolutely frightening how this country's gone down the pan.
And what is remarkable about this is that the police, certainly in places like Yorkshire and Manchester, did their best to bully the victims' families out of opening up and telling the truth.
Yeah, it's been Merseyside, I think Wakefield. I think there's been quite a few cases where there's actually it was a Labour MP that actually brought it out.
Simon Danchuk.
It's actually a female Labour MP.
Oh yeah, I know the one you're talking about. She was the MP for Keighley, Anne Cryer.
That's right. Yeah. Anne Cryer, that's right. She's the one that sort of whistled
in Parliament. I remember that.
So
and she actually swore in Parliament a bit like that. She got very passionate, didn't she?
Yeah.
I've got to say to you, if anybody was offended by swearing, I will say to you, we are talking about somebody in Heather who is an abuse victim who is watching whilst this country covers up the abuse of other young girls in a similar position to herself.
As it continues
I make no apologies for the fact that she is irate.
You're very, very brave, Heather, and I'd like to say if there's any victims out there for sexual, if there's any victims out there for that's been sexually assaulted, make sure you obtain help.
Heather doesn't always listen. So go on, Heather.
I want every single one of you presenters on talkTV. Julia Hartley-Brewer, if she's listening.
She will be.
Jeremy Kyle, I hope he's listening as well, because I want him and all the others to talk about it, to mention about the victims, and I want you lot to be our voice for the victims and keep on supporting us victims.
No, we will.
Because we definitely need your support here to fight for real justice in this country.
Heather, thank you so much. What I was going to say to you, Alistair, is that what Heather has said is quite right. If this were left to the police, if this were left to local councils, if this were left to social workers, this abuse would be continuing. It is, in fact, victims like Heather, who's not a victim of grooming, but a victim of sexual abuse, phoning people like us. It is the newspapers, it is the press, it is the media that's given these people a voice. It's not the police, and it's not local councils.
It's not, and what we need to be very careful here is that the victims out there that are listening, there is going to be victims out there, victims of sexual assault, victims of sexual...
Yes.
as you said, the same as Heather, that need to speak up. They need to not feel that no one's going to listen. And I know it seems that the perpetrators are getting the help. There is help out there for you.
Yes.
So make sure, if you have been a victim of any sexual assault, speak up. People are there to help you. There is the help mechanisms there. It might not seem it, but just feel confident to do that. And I really reward.
Well, Samantha says Heather is so brave. She doesn't mince her words
Really
either.
brave.
I'm standing with Heather, and we all
Really
agree
brave.
with that. Yeah.
I think so, and I think well, I'll tell you what,
Yeah,
we'll give her a
let's
round of
give her a
applause.
clap.
Go on.
Give her a clap.
I think it's important, and I think actually, you know, she's previously said the damage that it did to her as an adult, being molested as a child, and I think so. Look, you know, crime exists in this country. There will always be burglars. There will always be child abuse. What I think is frustrating, Heather, more than anything else, is the fact that we have a country that has systemically supported the abuse of children on the basis that we felt it would be damaging to the reputation of multiculturalism in order to save these children. So they said those children are expendable on the altar of multiculturalism, and I think that is just as morally bankrupt as it gets.
The biggest crime in the country's history, isn't
Let's keep that sexual case quiet because we're worried about a race war. Ultimately,
absolutely.
And they never actually get done for racially aggravated cases when they obviously were, because they call them white slags and things like that. In the court case, there's never a racially aggravating point, which they're meant to be.
Yeah, should
don't bring that in.
Should be. If you are raping someone because she's quote unquote a white slag, you're a racist.
Yeah, but that doesn't come in the court. So even when they do, they don't really face justice.
But as we know, the Crown Prosecution Service's view is that racism can only be the majority directing it towards it can only come from the majority to the minority. It can't go the other way around. So that a minority cannot racially abuse a majority. Which, by the way, guys, means that South Africa was not a racist country because a minority group, the whites, were discriminating against black people on the grounds of the colour of their skin. But according to Lee Jasper, a minority can't be a victim can't be a victim. Therefore, it was a non-racist place. So there we go.
Anyway, we're going to take a little breaky. 0344 499 1000. Dave, Roy, Yasmin, Cindy, Paula, Dave, and James. We'll be back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is The Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and our guest co-host this evening is Councillor Alistair Chambers, and we're going to go to Alan in Derbyshire. Alan, you're on Talk.
Haven't we been to you, Alan?
Yeah, but I've got to
give you a second bite of the cherry.
Oh, sorry, Alan, I'd forgotten.
No, they're going on about 28 billion as far as the necessary amount that we've got to spend for the for the army, etc. But I saw a recent estimate of the probable cost of HS2, and that was 98 billion.
Yeah. Well, do you know what else? The track and trace app that we made, that we could have just bought off the shelf from China, cost 34 billion. I mean, that, when you think you only need 28 billion for the military, that's just ridiculous. Who made all that money? Where did that money go? Why have they not looked into it?
I suppose the military that are there anyway, there's still a cost, there's still wages, there's still that ongoing cost of the British military, whether they're sat in barracks or posted at Ukraine.
But they need to increase it and buy more equipment.
I met a guy who was something like just a local businessman who owned pubs, and he got into PPE during the lockdown and made £30 million profit.
Not Matt Hancock's landlord, mate, was it?
Probably. I don't know.
Sorry, Alan. Yeah, anything else?
Let me think.
Just think of something. Yeah.
Let's just come up with anything now. Who cares, right? You know.
Look, we'll come back to you, Yasmin. What do you want to talk about?
No, hang on a second. It's a national radio and television show. We don't just go, just think of something to say.
We'll come back. Yeah, Yasmin.
Hiya, darling.
You all right?
Hi, Yasmin.
All right.
Hiya, love. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
I said that last night, but I'll say it again. Happy New Year, Georgina, Heather. Happy New Year, everybody who listens to your show. I'd like to say something about Gaza, and it's, as you know, that I found out a few months ago that my grandma was actually Jewish, although she hid it all her life from us. But I've got to look at it in the round. Gaza has had 8 Hiroshima bombs dropped on it in nuclear energy, the way the explosives are.
Yes.
Netanyahu will not open any of the gates to let the aid in. Children are being...
well, there is aid going in there now.
There's hardly any going in.
Well, what about Egypt as well? Well, there is. I mean...
Just hold on a minute, Ash. Let me please say what I want to say. I don't usually say anything about Gaza. The actual place of Gaza is 93% completely destroyed. It is like a demolition site.
Well, that's war, isn't it? I mean, that's sort of what happens.
Hold on a minute. There's excess of war, and then there's what's happening. I feel, in my heart, I feel the pain of the Palestinians, but I also feel the pain of the Jewish people and the Israelis and the Zionists. All I'm going to say is this, and this is more important than anything. Every person on this planet deserves to live.
Of course.
And that's why the innocent ratio is a record. We killed 9 to 1 innocent people in Fallujah.
I don't give a damn about.
Well, that's important. Ratios are important because you want to kill more terrorists than innocent people. If you don't care about it, that's how you end up with multiple innocent people killed.
Listen, I am no fans of any Muslim who's killing anybody. That's the first thing. I've lived with a Muslim who raped me and abused me and battered me and broke me bones. So don't tell me about Muslims.
But you also have a Muslim background as well in your family as well, don't you?
Yeah, he fractured my skull, he broke my arms, he broke my cheekbones, he raped me. I had to have reconstructive surgery. So don't tell me about Muslims.
Well, I wasn't saying you about. I was talking about Gaza. What you were talking about Gaza.
What I'm saying is now we're in a new year. Netanyahu needs to open the gates and let all the aid in.
But Yasmin, let me ask you this question. Yasmin, let me ask you this question. So, look, I mean, I agree with you. So first of all, there is no doubt the people that have suffered most during this period are the people of Gaza.
It's heartbreaking, Andre.
No, I understand.
Rajabu was shot.
I understand that, but let me just make this point, and it's something that I'm deeply concerned about. So, first of all, the people of Gaza.
Another thing, Andre, there's another thing. There's 15,000 Palestinians in torture camps in Israel.
Yeah, no, that's not true. There's no torture camps in Israel. What are you talking about?
They're getting raped. It's been on
You're just reading gibberish. There's no evidence of any rapes. They keep saying this, and yet there's...
the Justice Minister in Israel released the video. Don't bullshit me.
I'm not bullshit. What are you talking about? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Men have been raped, women have been raped, children's been raped.
Well, where's all the evidence? I mean, why? If this is happening, why aren't there loads of cameras in Gaza? Why would they?
Video in Israel, and the UN have got all the notes on it.
Oh, the UN, yeah. Yeah. You don't want to believe everything you see, Yasmin, online.
I'm saying we need to have a different plan. It's a new year. We need to get an army in there that separates Israel.
But there is one thing. Sorry, just let's move on now. But there is one thing that worries me, and I keep making this point. The people of Gaza are the people who have suffered the most during this period. What happened in Israel on the 7th of October was dreadful. What has happened in Gaza is worse. There's no doubt about that. But the problem here is when you compare two different groups. Hamas are a terrorist organisation that have robbed Gaza blind. The Israeli government may have, been guilty of some misadventures in terms of the war in Gaza, but fundamentally they're a democratic nation that are treating their citizens with the respect they deserve. And nobody seems to ever care about the following fact. If you simply embolden Hamas again by giving them all the money and all the aid that they got previously, then what they will do is they will continue their pattern of abuse, and all of that invasion will have been a waste of time.
And also, let's remember, Hamas are still in charge there.
Yeah.
So it's not over. And the reason a lot of the buildings are destroyed, they're all booby-trapped. You can't actually send troops, because they're not booby-trapped with wires anymore. They put little cameras in, so you can't actually go in and undo a booby-trap, because they will see you and they just blow it up. So you literally have to destroy the buildings as you go through. So that's why there's pretty much nothing left.
I mean, also, the other thing is, just to be clear, and just to remind you, that Hamas built a underground network of bunkers that was so big it was twice the size of the London Underground.
And the New York Underground.
And then when the bombs started dropping, they went into those bunkers themselves and they put children at the entrances to them and mounted cameras so they could video the children being killed by the Israeli Defense Force so they could go viral on social media. They had enough bunkers for every man, woman and child in Gaza and didn't let them in it.
Anyway, we've got to take a little break here at this juncture, Garcon. 03444991000. We'll be back and see if Alan in Derbyshire has thought of something.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, it's Talk with Andre Nash and Alistair, but don't forget, tomorrow from 11 a.m. you can see Grumpy Old Men. That's me. I don't know why I'm in the Grumpy Old Men. I'm not old, am I? But it's me and Jeremy Kyle, who is old, and Mark Wogan, the presenter. So join that tomorrow at 11. It'll be on YouTube. And, of course, Plank of the Week will be out tomorrow. So make sure you're tuned in and let's have a look, a little glimpse of what happened.
Ah, there you are. Welcome to the very first Plank of the Week of 2026, a very special show, and that requires a very special panel.
Keir Starmer, a man who has achieved the remarkable feat of being both dull and dangerous in equal measure.
We know when Keir Starmer gives his full confidence in someone that is the kiss of death. That was the case with Peter Mandelson and Angela Rayner, and now he's given full confidence in himself, saying, I will be here till 2027.
Don't miss Plank of the Week with me, Kevin O'Sullivan, on Talk every weekend.
Yes. So make sure you join it, and Grumpy Old Men from 11 o'clock tomorrow. It's a good episode. Make sure you tune in.
By the way, can I moan about the BBC for a little bit? We've just got somebody coming in, Malcolm from Somerset, complaining about the risk to Greenland. Just to be clear, on Air Force One, Donald Trump made it absolutely clear he is not invading Greenland. Can we just make it very obvious what has happened here? Right, the polar ice cap is melting. Therefore, there is now a way to attack the United States of America from its north as well as from its centre and its south. And that is to go north of Russia and sail round. That means that the United States of America needs to be protected by either Canada or Greenland. Canada has said no. Therefore, what Trump has said is that he wants Greenland to become part of the United States of America. Shh, that will never happen. I'll explain why. If they became a state of the United States of America, 56,000 people would elect 2 US senators, and they would almost certainly elect Democrats, and therefore you would shift the balance in the US Senate permanently in favour of the Democrats. A Republican president is never going to do that. What is going to happen is this, that Greenland is going to be given $1 billion a year to have a sovereign base. That is to say that part of Greenland will become a part of the United States of America. Now, you're going to say, that's a bit weird, that never happens. It does. If you've ever been on holiday in Cyprus and you've taken a coach from Larnaca Airport to Ayia Napa, you've gone through a British sovereign base in Cyprus, and there's 2 of them. There's Aquateria and anyway, I think it's called Aquateria. It's not that one, but anyway, you've seen them before, okay? So they'll put a sovereign base in and pay Greenland $1 billion a year, which will be 20 grand for every man, woman, and child.
I heard $500,000 each for 29 billion. And also it would protect us as well, because they'll obviously have American forces next to Europe.
The concern is whether Denmark could actually build the base, and Denmark's a small country, so it can't. But the big risk of Russia is this: an independent Scotland has said that it will be neutral and it will allow Russian submarines to sail north of Scotland in the Scottish...
Well, they won't have the right. They don't have the control of that, do they? That's the British government, isn't it?
No, well, it's independent Scotland would control its own territorial waters, and they would allow the Russians to operate. Right? Yeah, well, if it was independent, it would.
Well, yeah, if it was independent.
And Russia are pushing for Scotland to become independent.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So Greenland not being invaded, but I will tell you one thing: the BBC were on the. By the way, the base Aquateria is the other one. It's Decalia, which is the one that you've been through. Couldn't remember at that moment. Let me say to you, Donald Trump specifically on Air Force One said we are not going to invade Greenland, and the BBC ran it as Donald Trump has threatened to invade Greenland. I mean, you're just wasting your time, aren't you? Wasting your time.
Alan in Derbyshire.
Panorama Part 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have you thought of anything, Alan?
Yeah, and Greenland's 9 times the size of the UK as well.
It is.
Yeah, but the population's hardly anything.
56,000.
52,000, I think.
God, it's gone down.
Yeah, 4,000 of them have done a runner. I have to say, if I was the Prime Minister or whatever, the lead councillor from Greenland, I would be leaping for joy, because there is a deal going to be done where you're going to become the most protected people on Earth in exchange for America paying you to have the protection.
By the way, you know Iceland has only got 300,000. It's now in the last 10 years up to 400,000 because of immigration. If you think we've got it bad, think about that, man.
That's crazy.
I mean, they've destroyed
big numbers,
country.
1 in 4.
OK, Alan, Cindy in Michigan. Should we leave Alan there in case he comes up with something else? Cindy in Michigan.
Hey, I have a special request.
Yeah, man.
please stop saving me for last. Everybody gets a
You're not last.
1,000
We're going to
minutes.
probably have Alan on again.
Yeah, yeah, but I'm towards
Oh,
the end of the show.
just to
Anyway,
explain, so we can tell everybody, the people that you're listening to have phoned during the show and booked in, and then we phone them back. So
that means you're the headline act, Cindy, if you're at the end.
I called at 7:02. I always call
Well,
early.
that was Kev was on.
Anyway, I don't want to waste your time. So.
All right, well, don't
Jacob
call us then.
wants to-
I'm joking.
Huh?
I'm
Sorry?
joking.
No, they don't get that
I
irony,
hope
Americans.
so.
You said they
I
don't
hope
get the
so,
irony.
even though there's truth in jest. Anyway,
Listen, get on with it. We're keen to get to Chop Chop.
Okay, yeah.
See, she doesn't get that anyway. She doesn't get that.
Hey guys,
Is that Mr. Cindy?
this is Jacob. Yeah.
Hi, Jacob.
How you doing, Jacob?
So are you both on the line, or are you both? Where's has
no,
Cindy gone off? Is she,
I'm on the line.
Where's Cindy gone? Have we
Well,
hurt her
let me-
feelings?
Okay, hold on.
No, I mean, I don't...
Hey, hi.
Why did you go and give it... we hurt your feelings or something? What?
Well, they are a little hurt. But
Oh, well,
I'm
we're sorry
okay.
about that. It's because you didn't understand our British humour. But anyway, what is it, Cindy?
Well, I wanted to talk about Trump,
Yeah.
Greenland, and Mexico. But Jacob also wanted to talk to you about that. But I wanted to say that this is strategic for Greenland, and Trump's not going to take it. He wants actually a referendum. Is what he wants.
Well, won't they
And
get $500,000 each? So that's going to be a big sweetener
Yeah,
for the
that'd be
referendum.
great.
Yeah, well, of
It'd
course
be
they're going to vote for
awesome.
it then. Yeah, for them it will.
Yeah, and also Mexico really needs help, and I wanted to know your thoughts on because I've never felt this way about anything, but and I lived on the border of Mexico in San Diego for 38 years, so I know a lot of Tijuana, and I really want Trump to take military action. What do you think about that?
Well, yeah, maybe. What about the Panama Canal? Is he going to take that over as well? Have you heard that?
I don't want him to take Mexico over. I just want him to get rid of the cartel.
The problem appears to be. So I remember I was in Colombia when Alvarez Uribe was the president, and Vice President Santos was fighting a war against the Farcist insurgents and the cocaine dealing gangs. The big problem, and Uribe made this point, and I think it was reasonable. He said, "Look, we will fight the cocaine gangs because that is what the United States of America wants us to do. However, the problem is the market for this product is in America, and given that it costs about 8 pence to produce a gram of cocaine, cut it 3 ways and it will sell for $200 in the United States of America. You can literally get your pocket money and become a millionaire if you're Colombian." And what Uribe always felt, Uribe always felt that the result of the DEA's actions in Colombia would simply be to move the cocaine dealing business elsewhere. And it's moved to Mexico and Venezuela. The big problem is, and I say this with the greatest of respect, the Americans have got to stop buying this stuff.
But also, the
As long
drug
as they-
cartels are taking over in Mexico,
No,
isn't
it's
the
true.
government?
It's true.
Well, look, but the problem is you cleared them out of Colombia, so they moved to Mexico. If you clear out Mexico, they'll just go to Chile. Well, probably not Chile. It's not a good place to grow it. But you know what I mean. The problem is you now have cocaine dealing gangs with submarines. Right? There's never been any private sector organisations that have had a fleet of submarines. There's so much money in it. As I said, the DEA crop dusted Colombia, and they put up the price of cocaine wholesale from 7 pence to 8 pence a gram. As I say, cut 3 ways, it's worth $200 in the United States. If you can buy something for 10 pence and sell it for $200, you will never stop the supply. It's just never going to happen.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're right. There's a huge market for it, and you're right. The Americans really do have to stop buying it.
Of course, the other problem with Mexico, is that they are smuggling something the other way, which is this: guns bought in Texas. And so, obviously, because, I mean, look...
And fentanyl now as well.
Gun ownership in the United States of America is moderated by a pretty professional police force. Well, of course, there's frigging no police force in most of Mexico, so these gangs now are buying Kalashnikovs and Armalite assault rifles and AR-15s in America, or whatever they are, and taking them back to Mexico and just overwhelming the police. And I do think, when they talk about the American border Guard should be doing something about illegal gun exports into Mexico.
Yeah, and everybody's crooked in Mexico, the police and the politicians. It's just all wrong. And is it okay if Jacob has
Yeah, bring Jacob on. We can pretend it's another call. Jacob. We're going to Michelle
in Michigan.
We're going to Michelle in London after this. Hi, Jacob.
Hi, guys.
Do you disagree with your wife? Happy wife, happy life.
Okay, well, now what I want to get into was Greenland. The reason why we need Greenland is to protect not only Europe, but also the United States and the Western Hemisphere from invasion from China and Russia.
And also there's a lot of oil in the up north. There's minerals, loads of minerals. It's more about rare earth minerals and oil.
But the reality is, you don't want Greenland. Because if Greenland became a US state, you would have that problem. It would only have one congressman, but it would have 2 senators. What you actually want is a sovereign base on Greenland, which I'm sure is what will happen.
Yeah, like a territory. Right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as I say, Cyprus has Decalia and Aquitaria.
Well, the Chagos Islands now.
I mean, legally, people forget, legally, Decalia in Cyprus is a country, right? It's not. Yeah. It's literally, it has a governor, right? I mean, it's the head of the army base. But what the Americans want to do is be able to have their own sovereign base in Greenland. And frankly, you know what Greenland's full of? F all. So there wouldn't be a problem. Plenty of space.
Full of ice.
Well, the whole thing is you know, they're supposed to do. They want to do a referendum so it happens peacefully and all this other stuff. And he's not going to invade because there'd be no point to it.
Well, he won't need to if he's offering them $500,000 each. He'll just get voted in by about 100% in the referendum.
I mean, I think the other thing it's important, Jacob, to remember is what Donald Trump has said is that Greenland is strategically important and there needs to be an American presence there. He hasn't actually gone on about invading this and invading that. But where the risk of invasion comes is this. At some point, as happened in the Second World War, the Americans were forced to invade Greenland. If there was a war with Russia, undoubtedly Greenland would have to be invaded by the United States of America. They'd have to do it. And therefore, preparing for that and mitigating it would be sensible.
Yeah.
Right. But my wife wanted to talk to you guys. So
Put it back on, yeah. That's Cindy in Michigan.
It's like a Christmas phone call with Grandma.
Mr. and Mrs.
I just wanted to say I care about you guys as if I've met you.
Oh.
I do.
Thanks, Cindy.
You guys are just awesome.
We're looking forward to you coming to London.
Smile.
Yeah, man.
Looking forward to you coming to London. We'll buy you lunch in our staff canteen, which is quite good. Yeah. It's 14th floor overlooking the whole of London.
Yeah,
we'll take it to Chop Chop.
Yeah, we'll take it to Chop Chop.
Take it to Chop Chop.
Cheers, Cindy. Michelle in London.
Evening, boys.
All right,
Thank
Shell.
you, yummy guest. I can say that because I'm over 60.
Oh, do you fancy a bit of an old
Cheers, Michelle.
What do you like about him?
Oh, he's just like he could spread them on a cracker. I'd love him to wheel me round my office when they're on night reduced.
What's your address again?
She's a bit.
Only joking.
Do you want to see his muscles?
She's a bit of an old boiler, but you know, many a good tune can be played on an old fiddle.
Alistair, take your top off.
You know what? I'll tell you what, Andre, you are an absolute amazing. I could listen to you all day.
Oh, thank you so much.
No, you are brilliant. You just you just know everything. But Cindy was really good and her husband. There was a few things tonight, but I was disappointed in the guest you have. Her name's gone out of my head.
Anna McGovern.
About Gaza. At the end of the day,
oh no, sorry,
Yasmin.
We should only care about what is happening in our country, and as you know, we are disintegrating.
Yeah.
We are becoming like a sewer thing. We've had no water for 2 days, and they keep telling me about Victorian pipes, and I'm like, but where's all the money gone?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Where in London are you, Michelle?
Pardon?
Where are you in London?
Oh, I'm going to insult myself. Islington.
Oh,
No water
communist.
in Islington.
Communist. Are you in Jeremy Corbyn's constituency?
You're joking. I don't... listen, I'm reform all the way.
No, I mean, I didn't say you voted for him. It's
But
pretty
he's your
obvious.
MP, isn't he?
The number of pro-Gaza, pro-Hamas people that watch this show is
I've
low.
got the other one.
Who's the other one? You can't remember. Another lefty, it'll be.
The one who's got pig trotters for feet.
Pig trotters for feet. Right, let's try and see what AI says about that. Right.
Oh, don't. I'll tell you what, your guess looks
What
at AI.
Labour MP has pig's trotters rather than feet? It's the other MP in Islington.
You know who I'm talking about.
We're just finding out.
Catch your guess. Is he AI?
Yeah, he's not real.
I'm Mr. AI.
Right, so AI says there is no well-documented example of a Labour MP who has pig's trotters.
You would if you saw her. But anyway, I'm not saying anything. But the show's been fantastic. But what I want to know is, what do you think? I really am behind Donald Trump. But everything like you said, with the Mayor of London, now... Oh, I do not believe in people sending their vote.
Emily Thornberry is the one you said had pig's trotters.
Well, you said that. Not
Well, no,
me.
you're the one who said it. Your MP, Emily Thornberry, has pig's trotters.
The one with pig's trotters. All right, Michelle, we're going to have to go. I'm going to say to you, I've spent my entire life, my hobby is watching documentaries, and I've worked out, based on the number of hours per week,